Chapter 602. Early in the morning, Ning Fan left Jishui City with the bamboo sovereign. When he arrived again, it was already night time. He stepped on the purple eyes evil creature and spread his divine sense far and wide in Jishui. In the entire Jishui City, countless cultivators were killed or injured. There were cultivators or living puppets dying every second. Not only Jishui City but the entire Muyi country was also in chaos. The air was filled with dense baleful qi and sorrow. In this catastrophe, no one knew how many people in the Eastern Tree Sea died with hatred and how many people killed their friends and relatives with their bodies as living puppets. Ning Fan had always been a cold person. If it was in the past, he would certainly not care about the deaths and tribulations of others, let alone get involved in unimportant matters. But this time, he was determined to intervene in this war and wade into the muddy waters. He promised to take care of the Nether Luo clan for Mu Luo. He must avenge Wan Changkong's massacre. He had been hunted by the Vine Palace for a long time. Today was the day to retaliate. He had once obtained Yu Huang's help to refine the natal blood rain of Ancestor Yu. Even though Yu Huang did something bad out of good intentions, he still owed him a favor after all. Yu Huang was the former bamboo sovereign and the bamboo palace would be destroyed in an instant. Ning Fan did not have a good impression of the bamboo palace, but he could not just stand by and watch the calamity of the bamboo palace. Moreover, he was touched by those who he had never met before. He was touched by the grief of those living puppets who begged for death but could not. At this moment, Ning Fan felt like he could hear thousands of sorrowful cries. Who can kill me? Who can kill Wan Changkong? Who can free me from this? Liu Bei, you killed my clone and took away the right to control the broken 5 evil separation. I will never forgive you. The 10 silver-haired old men abandoned the bamboo sovereign and the others and suddenly launched an unexpected attack at Ning Fan. They summoned silver threads that were as thin as raindrops that covered the sky. Wan Changkong wanted his 10 clones to directly control Ning Fan as a living puppet and use him to control the broken 5 evil separation. The 10 silver-haired old men secretly gave orders. 3 Void Fragmentation Realm living puppets and 4 Void Fragmentation Realm living puppets of the Vine Palace abandoned the bamboo sovereign and the others and attacked Ning Fan, trying to take him down in one go. The black moon in Ning Fan's left eye flashed. He opened his mouth and breathed out black flames that blotted out the sky, incinerating all the silver threads in the sky. He had secretly enhanced the yin-yang demon fire with the life imprisonment technique, which had a heaven-defying restraining effect on Wan Changkong's life imprisonment thread. Naturally, he was not afraid of the silver thread. Purple-eyed Niali suddenly opened his mouth and let out a roar. Layers of purple sound waves spread across the vast sky. Carrying destructive power, all 17 Void Fragmentation Realm experts were forced backwards. The void magic techniques that were hurled at Ning Fan were forcefully shattered by the purple sound waves. Why is it like this? My life void threads are actually restrained by Liu Bei's devil fire. The 10 silver-haired old men were all greatly shocked. They were not Wan Changkong's true body, but his avatars. They could only faintly sense the death of their clones in the bamboo world, but they were unable to find out what had happened in the bamboo world. Naturally, they were also unaware of the fact that Ning Fan had mastered the life imprisoning technique. Isn't this 5 broken evil fire a little too powerful? With just a roar, it could force 17 Void Fragmentation Realm experts to retreat. The Vine Sovereign's eyes were filled with astonishment while old monster Tian Qian's eyes were filled with passion. This 5 broken evil fire was so powerful. If he could devour it, his cultivation base would certainly improve tremendously. Perhaps, he could even break through to the 6th heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm in one go. Wan Changkong, the 17 Void Fragmentation Realm experts and the 3 life puppet Nieli retreated to the Vine Sovereign and Tian Qian's side. Liu Haoyue, the Bamboo Sovereign and the 6 Void Fragmentation Realm experts of the Liu Palace retreated to Ning Fan's side. Thank you, Brother Liu, for lending a helping hand to my Bamboo Palace. If I don't die this time, I will owe Brother Liu a great favor. The Bamboo Sovereign said with mixed feelings. It's been many years. Do you still remember me, Brother Liu? I didn't expect that we would meet again in this way after we parted ways that day. It's really interesting. Lu Haoyue laughed heartily. Ning Fan cupped his fists at the two sovereigns. His expression was neither cold nor warm. Just as he was about to say something, old monster Tian Qian walked out from the void fragmentation realm experts in front of him. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back. He stood 10,000 zhang away from Ning Fan and spoke to him with an arrogant expression. I am the fourth elder of the Three Realms sect. My Dao title is Tian Qian. Junior. Today's matter of destroying the Bamboo Palace is the intention of my Three Realms sect. If you help the Bamboo Palace and the Willow Palace to fight against the Vine Palace, you will be making an enemy of my Three Realms sect. If you are willing to help my Vine Palace and give me the 5 broken evil fire that you have subdued, I will let you off the hook and not hold you accountable for any of your crimes. However, if you insist on becoming an enemy of my Three Realms sect, I guarantee that you will die a horrible death. Three Realms sect. Ning Fan's eyes flashed. He did not expect that the person in front of him would be old monster Tian Qian of the Three Realms sect. He also did not expect that the Three Realms sect would be involved in today's matter. The Three Realms sect was an alliance of rogue cultivators in the upper Three Realms. It was said that the sect master of the Three Realms sect was an old monster at the 8th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. The Three Realms sect was a colossal existence. Ning Fan did not want to offend them. However, he was not willing to help the Vine Palace eliminate the two sovereigns, nor was he willing to give the 5 broken evil fire to old monster Tian Qian to devour. If he was unwilling, the Three Realms sect would not be able to force him. Moreover, he disliked old monster Tian Qian's threatening words. So what if you are from the Three Realms sect? You are an elder of the Three Realms sect. I will give you a chance for the sake of the Three Realms sect. If you leave the tree world now, I can spare your life. Spare my life? How arrogant! Old monster Tian Qian's face turned pale. The Vine Sovereign's eyes darkened. She transmitted a few words to Tian Qian, telling him that Ning Fan had killed Duyu. Tian Qian's eyes were filled with surprise. Then he revealed a ferocious smile. You are Liu Bei, right? You killed Duyu? You are dead meat. Duyu is a person that the sect master of the Three Realms sect values. Since you have killed him, you will certainly die in the sect master's hands. Just pretend that I did not say what I said just now. Whether you give me the 5 broken evil fire or not, you must die today. Kuanli Palace, collect. Old monster Tian Qian summoned a golden palace from afar. The workmanship was very exquisite. Although it was only the size of a palm, it contained tens of thousands of pavilions and terraces. As soon as the golden palace was summoned, it immediately grew in the wind and turned into the size of the entire Jishui city. Its falling momentum became heavier and heavier. A golden vortex appeared out of nowhere in the middle of the golden palace. That golden vortex emitted a boundless suction force as if it wanted to suck Ning Fan into the golden palace. The golden palace was filled with countless killing formations. Even if a cultivator with the 5 broken evil fire was sucked into it, he would certainly be surrounded by danger. This golden vortex looked very familiar. It was very similar to the 6 broken evil fire seal technique that Wan Chongkong used to split his consciousness. It was a secret technique that only the Three Realms sect had. It was called the spatial vortex technique. It was an extremely powerful ability that could trap and seal enemies. Ning Fan felt a great sense of danger from the Golden Palace. Naturally, he would not allow Tian Qian to take him away. He gave the purple-eyed evil fire an order, and she immediately retaliated against old monster Tian Qian. The purple-eyed evil fire's eyes were filled with anger. She would not allow anyone to hurt Ning Fan because he was the last member of the Fu Li clan. She suddenly opened her gigantic beak. Void wind blew in her beak, forming a purple-black void eye. The suction force of that purple-black void eye was a few times stronger than that of the wind eye of the bamboo world. With the help of the suction force of the wind eye, the purple-eyed evil fire opened her mouth and directly swallowed the magic treasure of old monster Tian Qian's Kuanli Palace into her stomach. At the moment when the Kuanli Palace was swallowed, old monster Tianqian's expression changed drastically. The trace of spiritual connection between him and the Kunli Palace was directly erased. The Kunli Palace was taken away. How dare you seize my magic treasure? You're courting death. Let's attack together and kill him. Tianqian was enraged. He led the members of the Vine Palace and charged at Ning Fan. Lu Haoyue and the others also charged at them. Immediately, the scene turned into a chaotic battle. Old monster Tianqian and the Vine Sovereign were held back by Lu Haoyue and the Bamboo Sovereign. Ning Fan stepped on the evil fire and seized the opportunity to slaughter the crowd. He stepped on the purple-eyed evil fire and directly dashed towards the 10 clones of Wan Changkong's silver-haired clones. Then, he locked onto all of them with his killing intent. The Vine Sovereign and Tianqian were both experts at the 5-spirit destruction realm. It was not easy to kill them. As for Wan Changkong, even though his abilities were strange and he had many clones, it was not difficult to kill him. You're courting death. After being locked on by Ning Fan's killing intent, the 10 silver-haired old men were enraged at the same time. The 3 silver-haired old men each leaped onto the body of the evil fire puppet in a flash. Each of them controlled one of the puppets, wanting to fight against Ning Fan. Originally, the evil fire puppet was extremely afraid of the purple-eyed evil fire puppet. It did not dare to fight it. Now, however, with Wan Changkong's 3 clones personally controlling it, the puppet had no choice but to fight against Ning Fan even if it was unwilling to do so. Shrieked at the only eye of the evil fire phoenix shot out a ray of light which turned into a 10,000 zhang large fiery pearl. The fiery pearl was enshrouded with layers of purple-black flames, making it look like a purple-black sun. Then, it flew towards Ning Fan from afar. The white bone evil fire puppet spread its wings. White bone feathers that were even larger than tall buildings shot out like flying locusts. The bone feathers were coated with purple-black poison. A single drop of the poison could easily kill a void refinement realm cultivator. The 9 heads of the evil fire puppet opened their huge mouths and each of them breathed out rays of cold light. The cold ice condensed and turned into 9 purple-black ice mountains which fell from 9 different directions. The destructive power of the 9 mountains falling attack was almost close to the 5-spirit destruction attack. When the 3 attacks were launched together, the 3 silver-haired old men who were standing on the evil fire puppet sneered at the same time. Even the Vine Sovereign and the other Divine Sovereigns might not be able to withstand the joint attack of the evil fire puppet. Even though the 5-spirit destruction evil fire puppet is strong, it might not be a match for me. Just as the 3 silver-haired old men had that thought, their eyes suddenly widened at the next moment. Under the moonlight and in the cold night, Ning Fan stood on the head of the purple-eyed evil fire puppet. His black robes fluttered in the wind. He stared at the attacks of the evil fire puppet without any fear. As for the purple-eyed evil fire puppet beneath his feet, it was filled with disdain and dissatisfaction towards the 3 attacks. There's no need to hold back. Ning Fan only gave an order, but the purple-eyed evil fire puppet understood him tacitly. Her purple eyes glowed with dark purple light. Half of an incomparably massive purple-black ring shadow suddenly appeared in the sky. Within that ring shadow, countless black flame runes suddenly emerged. They were demonic characters that Ning Fan had never seen before. Within that ring shadow, traces of pure black ominous rays of light swept out. Those rays of light seemed as light as cotton. However, once they reach a person, they were as heavy as the falling heavens. They could crush all kinds of divine abilities and magic treasures. With just one sweep of the rays of light, the 3 offensive divine abilities of the Fire Pearl, Bone Feather, and Ice Mountain were all destroyed. The rays of light then swept towards the Fire Phoenix evil fire puppet. With just one sweep, the Fire Phoenix evil fire puppet, which had the cultivation base of the 3-spirit destruction realm, let out a miserable shriek as it was severely injured. When the rays of light swept for the 3rd time, the Fire Phoenix evil fire puppet along with a silver-haired old man on its back turned into ashes. The rays of light swept towards the white bone evil fire puppet and the 9-headed evil fire puppet. The 2 evil fire puppets suffered severe injuries and were forced to retreat. As for the silver-haired old man on the backs of the 2 beasts, Both of them turned into ashes. The rays of light swept towards the void fragmentation realm experts of the Vine Palace. Immediately, two first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm experts of the Vine Palace perished. One of them was even the big-headed boy who had chased after Ning Fan. The rays of light swept towards the Vine Sovereign and old monster Tian Fei. The two of them were fighting against Lu Haoyue. When they were suddenly swept by the rays of light, there was no way they could dodge in time. The two of them hurriedly summoned their profound divinity treasure armor to defend themselves. However, their chests were shattered by the rays of light. Their profound divinity treasure armor was shattered while their ribs were broken. Both of them coughed out blood and were forced to retreat in the vast sky. Every step they took would shatter a part of the sky. How is this possible? The Vine Sovereign's face turned pale with fright. Old monster Tian Fei's eyes were filled with astonishment. Everyone at the scene, be it friend or foe, could not help but feel astonished after witnessing this scene. The destructive power of that purple-eyed evil fire puppet was too terrifying. Her strength was too strong. In just an instant, she had killed one of the three void fragmentation realm evil fire puppet, three of Wan Changkong's clones, and two first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm experts of the Vine Palace. Even the Vine Sovereign and old monster Tian Fei could not withstand the attacks of the purple-eyed evil fire puppet when they hastily put up their defenses. The strength of this purple-eyed evil fire puppet was probably already on par with ordinary 6 void fragmentation realm old monsters. The Vine Sovereign, Tian Fei, Wan Changkong and the Bamboo Sovereign were no match for her in terms of strength. Even Lu Haoyue felt ashamed of his inferiority. At this moment, Ning Fan was controlling the purple-eyed evil fire puppet. His combat power alone was above that of ordinary 5 void fragmentation realm old monsters. After the fire phoenix evil fire puppet died, the countless evil seals in her body locked her cultivation base and condensed into 7 purplish-black fruits that were covered with runes. All of them floated towards Ning Fan from afar. The energy contained within each of the fruits was equivalent to a void fragmentation realm Dao fruit. Each of the purplish-black fruits gave off a boundless ominous qi, giving ordinary cultivators a feeling that they would definitely die if they consumed them. These are evil fruits. Ning Fan's expression changed. The so-called sinful fruit was a special Dao fruit that could only be consumed by the Fu Li royal family. Those who weren't from the Fu Li royal family would suffer a backlash if they consumed it. The so-called Sin Seal could not only seal Nieli as a slave, it could also condense Nieli's cultivation base into a sin fruit after his death, using this sin fruit to raise the cultivation base of the Fu Li royal family. At first, Ning Fan did not know what this item was. However, the moment he saw it, the Fu Li bloodline in his body heated up. All of a sudden, some memories that were hidden in his ancestral blood appeared in his mind. He flicked his sleeve and took away the 7 sinful fruits without saying anything. He stomped on the purple-eye evil gaze and charged toward the remaining 7 Wan Changkong clones. Purple-eyed Evil Li activated her monster energy and a half-circle appeared in the sky, releasing endless black multicolored light. When the multicolored light appeared, all the cultivators of the Vine Hall, including the Vine Sovereign, felt their scalps go numb. Wan Changkong. 10,000 years ago, you slaughtered the underworld Luo clan. 10,000 years later, I will kill you here as the underworld Luo Tree Emperor. The coldness in Ning Fan's eyes intensified. All of his pressure was released at this moment. He transmitted the image of this scene into the blood-red paper umbrella and showed it to Qing Dai and the others who were in the umbrella world. He wanted to let the underworld Luo clan see how Wan Changkong's blood splattered across the sky. Shrieked each time the black multicolored light swept across, it would kill one of Wan Changkong's clones. The second sweep, the third sweep, the fourth sweep, the sixth sweep. Out of the last 7 clones of Wan Changkong, 6 of them had already been killed. Only one of them was left and it was desperately trying to escape. It was already extremely afraid of Ning Fan. At this moment, Wan Changkong no longer had the arrogance he had when he slaughtered the bloody underworld Luo clan 10,000 years ago. At this moment, Wan Changkong was in a panic and looked like a stray dog that had lost its home. Die! Ning Fan did not let the purple-eyed evil Li kill the last clone. Instead, he patted his sword pouch and raised his hand, shooting a ray of golden sword light at Wan Changkong's back. That golden sword light was none other than the flying sword light of Emperor Xia's sword. Currently, Ning Fan only had 20 to 30% of his magic power left. He only used 10% of his magic power to activate the sword. The destructive power of this sword attack was only equivalent to the destructive power of one attack. However, the sword's speed was extremely fast, making it impossible for Wan Changkong to dodge it. Just as the last clone of Wan Changkong was trying to escape, a ray of golden sword light suddenly pierced through his back. After the golden sword light pierced through his body, it destroyed everything inside his body wantonly. After a few breaths, Wan Changkong's last clone perished. However, Ning Fan did not feel relaxed at all. He just stared coldly at one of the dark clouds in the night sky. All of a sudden, he flicked his finger and activated Emperor Xia's sword light to slash at that dark cloud. Why aren't you coming out yet? The ray of golden sword light shattered the vast sky. From the shattered space, a 10,000 zhang tall silver-haired giant slowly emerged. This person was none other than Wan Changkong's true body. His body only exuded the magic power qi of the first heavenly layer of Nirvana realm. However, the strength of his physical body was comparable to that of a fifth heavenly layer Nirvana realm cultivator. This person was a puppet. Wan Changkong had refined himself into a puppet and hid in this place. He was secretly controlling the countless living beings of the Eastern Tree Sea to kill each other. He had never expected that Ning Fan would be able to see through his disguise. It's him! It's him! Wan Changkong! In the Umbrella World, all the members of the underworld Luo clan wore sorrowful and angry eyes. Ever since the calamity 10,000 years ago, the recording of that calamity had been passed down from generation to generation in the underworld Luo clan. On that day, Wan Changkong trampled countless members of the underworld Luo clan to death with his gigantic body. On that day, he casually refined 10 void refinement realm old ancestors of the underworld Luo clan into his puppets. Big Brother Lu, please kill Wan Changkong. Please avenge us. Qing Dai said with teary eyes. When the Vine Sovereign saw Wan Changkong's true body suddenly appear and he was actually at the fifth heavenly layer of Nirvana realm, she was shocked. Obviously, he did not know that Wan Changkong's true body had arrived. He also did not know that Wan Changkong's true body had actually cultivated to such a level in the past 10,000 years. It seems like Wan Changkong is hiding something from me. The Vine Sovereign's eyes turned extremely gloomy. After this battle, I will definitely get rid of Wan Changkong after I unify the tree world. This person is not someone who can be easily dealt with. I must never let my guard down against him. However, before that, I can borrow the strength of this person's true body to resist Liu Bei and the 5 evil Li. Just as the Vine Sovereign was thinking about that, the purple-eyed evil Li had already shot out countless rays of black light. The rays of light swept towards Wan Changkong's true body, the silver-haired giant. When the rays of light hit him, the silver-haired giant immediately coughed out blood and retreated. His face was filled with shock. Countless cracks appeared on the puppet's body from the multicolored light. Unfortunately, even this silver-haired giant who had an extremely strong physical body was not a match for the purple-eyed evil Li. Kill him! As soon as Ning Fan gave the order, the purple-eyed evil Li shot out even more rays of light. The silver-haired giant's face turned pale with fright. He directly left the Vine Sovereign and the others behind. He only took the 3 void fragmentation realm living puppets and the 2 evil Li with him. Then, he raised his hand and tore open a crack in the void. If his true body dies, he would die. However, if his true body dies, he would lose his life here. You can't escape. The purple-eyed evil Li carried Ning Fan and chased after him into the void. Once a dangerous person like Wan Changkong becomes their enemy, they must not let him live. Chapter 603. In the Boundless Void, A 10,000 zhang tall silver-haired giant was desperately fleeing in the air. Each of his steps could cover a distance of millions of li. Behind him, a black-robed young man was standing on a gigantic nyeli with purple eyes and black feathers. He was chasing after the silver-haired giant with cold eyes. The purple-eyed nyeli would occasionally shoot out a ray of black light. If it hits the silver-haired giant, it would cause him a certain degree of injury. The silver-haired giant became more and more shocked. The strength of this purple-eyed nyeli was beyond his imagination. Liu Bei, stop chasing me. If you push me too far, don't blame me for perishing together with you. The silver-haired giant shouted while fleeing. Noisy! Ning Fan snorted coldly. Then he ordered the purple-eyed nyeli to launch an even more ferocious attack. More black rays of light swept towards the silver-haired giant. The rays of light condensed into a gigantic hand that emitted an ominous chi. It clawed at the silver-haired giant. Ah! As soon as the claw made contact with him, the silver-haired giant immediately let out a blood-curdling scream and fell from the void towards the endless abyss of the void. Not only did this strike inflict serious injuries on him, but it also carried an ominous aura that tainted his karmic luck by a lot. After all, he was a void fragmentation realm old monster. As a void fragmentation realm old monster, many of them had already cultivated purple luck. He had slaughtered many people in his life. Even though his luck was not purple, it was infinitely close to it. However, after being hit by the black claw, a large portion of his luck was directly tainted and it began to fall. What kind of ability is this? It can actually taint one's luck. The silver-haired giant tried his best to stabilize his body and stop falling. Then he consumed a pill to forcefully suppress his injuries. During this time, Ning Fan had already blocked the silver-haired giant's path with the purple-eyed nyeli and said coldly, "I've said it before. You won't be able to escape." The silver-haired giant's heart sank. He knew that if he keeps running away, it was indeed impossible for him to escape from Ning Fan's pursuit. Only by risking his life against Ning Fan might he be able to find a way out of death. Liu Bei, my main body has already learned from the memories of my divine clone that you possess the highest secret technique of the Mournful Death clan, Black Moon divine ability. The art of mourning is unsolvable. If you encounter the Black Moon, you will perish if you go against it. It's true that your Black Moon divine ability is very powerful. With this technique, you subdued the broken 5 evils and used it to chase after me. But let me tell you, don't push me too far. If you are willing to let me go, then The silver-haired giant seemed to be negotiating with Ning Fan. However, before he could finish his words, he suddenly paused. A ferocious light flashed across his eyes. At this moment, a silver door of light suddenly appeared below Ning Fan and the purple-eyed evil Li. As soon as the light gate of the heavenly dwelling appeared, countless living puppets immediately rushed out from the light gate and launched fatal attacks at Ning Fan. Among these living puppets, there were not only White Bone Evil Li and 9-headed Evil Li but also 3 first heavenly layer Void Fragmentation Realm living puppets and nearly 100 Void Refinement Realm living puppets. There were millions of living puppets below the Soul Formation stage and above the Golden Core stage. This was a portable Grotto Heaven space that Wan Changkong had created using the Grotto Heaven technique. It was specifically used to store puppets. After one's cultivation base reaches the Void Fragmentation Realm, many Void Fragmentation Realm old monsters would love to create a portable Grotto Heaven space to store some important items. Ning Fan was not surprised by the silver-haired giant's sneak attack at all. He had long been prepared for this kind of sneak attack. The only thing that slightly surprised him was that there was a familiar face among the 3 first heavenly layer Void Fragmentation Realm living puppets, Old Demon Fusang. Ning Fan had once learned from the members of the Fusang clan that Old Demon Fusang was killed by a sneak attack from a mysterious Void Fragmentation Realm expert and his corpse was nowhere to be found. Unexpectedly, Old Demon Fusang's corpse actually fell into the hands of the silver-haired giant and was even refined into a living puppet by the latter. It was obvious that the person who attacked Old Demon Fusang was undoubtedly Wan Changkong. Other than that black-robed old man, kill all of them. Ning Fan ordered the purple-eyed evil Li. Shriek. What responded to Ning Fan was the purple-eyed Evil Li's obedient screech. The purple-eyed Evil Li's eyes were filled with disdain towards the sudden sneak attack of these living puppets. She calmly opened her gigantic mouth and formed a void eye in her mouth. Then she opened her mouth and swallowed millions of living puppets, killing them all in one gulp. She swallowed millions of living puppets in one gulp. At the same time, layers of black light swept out from her body, turning nearly 100 Void Refinement Realm living puppets into ashes. She even killed the 2 Void Fragmentation Realm living puppets other than Old Demon Fusang. As for the 2 Evil Li who tried to sneak attack Ning Fan, both of them were repelled by the black light. Their injuries worsened once again. As for Old Demon Fusang's living puppet, the purple-eyed Evil Li spat out a ray of purple-black light which turned into a chain that bound it tightly, rendering it immobile and handing it over to Ning Fan to deal with. Ning Fan raised his hand and summoned Old Demon Fusang, who was bound by the chains, to his front. Their eyes met and he sighed softly. From Old Demon Fusang's eyes, Ning Fan could see a hint of sorrow and sorrow. Old Demon Fusang begged. Old Demon Fusang was already dead. Because his corpse was refined into a living puppet by Wan Changkong, he was resurrected in the body of a living puppet. He could still retain a trace of consciousness and think like a living person. However, he could no longer control his body. All he could do was obey Wan Changkong's orders obediently. Ever since they parted ways in Gomong country, he had not seen Ning Fan again. He could not imagine that the current Ning Fan would actually have such great abilities. He had a mount that possessed a terrifying cultivation base as his spiritual pet. With just a raise of his hand, he could devour millions of living beings and instantly kill Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators. Currently, the Fu Li demon blood in Ning Fan's body was soaring, giving Old Demon Fusang a feeling that he was unreachable. Old Demon Fusang begged for death wholeheartedly. He only hoped that Ning Fan could end his fate of becoming a living puppet and give him a release. Once he becomes Wan Changkong's living puppet, there would no longer be any possibility of saving him and he would not be able to enter samsara after he dies. If Wan Changkong dies, all the living puppets would be buried together with him. It would also be an inevitable outcome. Senior Fusang, I owe you a favor that I have yet to repay. Today, I will grant you a release. After you die, I will collect your ashes and send them back to the Fusang clan. Many thanks. Old Demon Fusang felt relieved but also a little disappointed. Have a safe journey. Ning Fan raised one of his fingers. A trace of void sword light appeared between his fingers and touched the top of Old Demon Fusang's head. After the void sword light pierced through the top of Old Demon Fusang's head, it immediately wreaked havoc inside his body. In the end, his puppet body was completely destroyed. A moment later, Old Demon Fusang's physical body disintegrated into countless ashes. Ning Fan kept all of the ashes into a jade box, preparing to bring it back to the Fusang clan later. In this way, he could be considered to have returned the favor to the Fusang clan. From now on, they no longer owed each other anything. The battlefield is ever-changing and you still have the mood to collect your friend's ashes. What a joke! The silver-haired giant laughed loudly and led the last 2 evil puppets to charge at Ning Fan in 3 different directions. It only took Ning Fan a moment to bury Old Demon Fusang and collect his ashes. What the silver-haired giant said was right. On the battlefield, even a split second of distraction could bring unimaginably terrible consequences. However, the silver-haired giant neglected one thing. It actually did not matter whether Ning Fan was distracted or not. After all, the one who was chasing after him was the purple-eyed Nyeli. Nyeli had been paying full attention to the silver-haired giant's movements. Besides, Ning Fan was not actually distracted at all. When he was collecting Old Demon Fusang's ashes, he was also paying attention to the silver-haired giant's movements. Taking advantage of the gap when Ning Fan was distracted, the silver-haired giant and the 2 living puppets launched their attacks at the same time. The white-boned Nyeli flapped its wings and countless white bones rained down. The 9-headed Nyeli breathed out 9 rays of icy light which condensed into 9 ice mountains. Once again, they crashed down on Ning Fan's head. The silver-haired giant's body was surrounded by endless nirvana chi. That Nirvana Chi was the unique ability of Nirvana realm body cultivators. Under the enhancement of the Nirvana Chi, the silver-haired giant's physical body emitted a glazed luster and gave off a heavy aura force. That aura force carried the might of the heavenly momentum. The so-called Nirvana realm cultivators had to merge their physical bodies with the Tao and temper their physical bodies with the power of the heavenly momentum. Void technique, Heavenly Tao Fist. At this moment, the silver-haired giant waved his fists which carried traces of the might of the heavenly Tao. As soon as he threw out his fists, the hollow space within 5 million li trembled violently. 1 punch, 10 punches, 100 punches. In just a short period of time, the silver-haired giant instantly threw 100 punches at Ning Fan. Even the Vine Sovereign and the others would not be able to withstand such a terrifying rain of punches. Ning Fan frowned. The Devil's Star in his right eye flashed and rotated rapidly. In an instant he completely copied the silver-haired giant's Heavenly Tao Fist technique. As long as he diligently practices it in the future, he would be able to master this technique. The Heavenly Tao Fist technique was quite profound. It was a mid-grade immortal void realm body technique. It could integrate the power of the Heavenly Tao into the fist light made of Nirvana Chi. Its destructive power was naturally astonishing. However, this technique seemed to be an exaggeration. At the very least, this technique had only integrated a ring of Heavenly Tao power from the Heavenly Tao of the lower world. However, it had not integrated the Heavenly Tao power of a higher level. Using the Heavenly Tao as its title was a little exaggerated. Just as Ning Fan was trying to learn the Heavenly Tao Fist technique without restraint, the purple-eyed Nyeli shot out countless rays of black light which directly sent the 2 living puppets flying away. The rays of black light swept towards the Heavenly Tao Fist technique and destroyed them one by one. Perhaps the silver-haired giant's technique had borrowed the power of the Heavenly Tao. However, the Fu Li clan was once the emissary who was in charge of supervising the Heavenly Tao. What they used was a method to suppress the power of the Heavenly Tao. So what if it was the Heavenly Tao? In ancient times, it was just a subordinate of the Fu Li clan. Boom! When each of the fist light was destroyed, the rebounding force caused the silver-haired giant to retreat rapidly. In just a few breaths' time, all of the 100 fist light were destroyed. The silver-haired giant's face was filled with astonishment. The Heavenly Tao Fist was an ancient body technique that he found by chance. It could borrow the power of the Heavenly Tao to attack his enemies. Its destructive power was extremely powerful. However, such a powerful technique was easily neutralized by the purple-eyed Nyeli. It was really unacceptable to him. The Heavenly Tao Fist was already his strongest technique. If even this technique could not hurt the purple-eyed Nyeli and Ning Fan, he would only have one last trump card which might be able to kill Ning Fan. Originally, I was unwilling to use this item. However, I can't care too much about it now. The ancient morning heavenly jade. It was this jade that gave me the opportunity to condense the morning death devil veins and cultivate the life puppet technique. If this jade unleashes its power, Liu Bei will certainly die. Originally, I was unwilling to use this jade, but now, I can't care about anything else. Liu Bei, you forced me to do this. The silver-haired giant's face was filled with hatred. He bent his palm and an ancient jade suddenly appeared in his hand. It would take some time to unseal the power of the ancient jade. Thus, he would let the 2 living puppets stall for time. Both of you, stall Liu Bei for 10 breaths time at all costs. After 10 breaths time, I have a way to kill him instantly. Screech. The 2 living puppets did not dare to disobey his orders. Instead, they charged at Ning Fan without caring about anything else. Chapter 604. As soon as the silver-haired giant gave the order, he immediately raised the ancient jade in the sky and performed hand seals with all his might to unlock the power of the ancient jade. Ning Fan glanced at it and narrowed his eyes. It was a piece of 5-colored ancient jade. It was an incomplete piece of broken jade. He could not tell what kind of material it was made of. It looked very old and there were some cracks on it. This ancient jade did not have the chi of a magic treasure. On the surface, it looked like an ordinary item. It did not look like a magic treasure. However, as the silver-haired giant performed hand seals, the ancient jade gradually emitted an extremely terrifying and strange chi. Sometimes, it was as cold as ice. Sometimes, it was as hot as fire. Sometimes, it was as hard as wood. Sometimes, it was as heavy as earth. Sometimes, it was as sharp as gold. The chi changed rapidly and the 5 elements gradually merged into one. At this moment, Ning Fan felt a sense of danger from the ancient jade. Even though it had been tens of thousands of years, the ancient jade still gave Ning Fan a strong sense of danger. Something was sealed inside the ancient jade. It was something extremely dangerous. Shriek. White-bone Nyeli and Nine-headed Nyeli attacked him from both sides. Each of them launched their attacks at Ning Fan. After the first attack, the 2 beasts immediately fled far away. After accumulating power, they launched another attack. Of course, the 2 beasts could not hurt Ning Fan and the evil Li. Their goal was just to delay Ning Fan for 10 breaths of time so that the silver-haired giant could unlock the ancient jade. The 2 beasts had the cultivation bases of the 3rd and 4th destruction realm. Even though they were not a match for the evil Li, they could still delay him for 10 breaths of time if they put up a desperate fight. Even though I don't know what exactly is sealed inside the ancient jade, I can't let one Chong Kong unlock it since it can give me a sense of danger. The demon star in Ning Fan's left eye flashed. A trace of ancestral Fu Li bloodline aura force spread across the entire void space. It was the aura force of 4 drops of ancestral Fu Li blood. Under such a level of aura force, White-bone Evil Li and Nine-headed Evil Li panicked and did not know what to do. Their chi was being suppressed. Their demon power seemed to have been sealed, weakening rapidly. White-bone Evil Li's chi dropped from the 3rd destruction realm to the absolute void realm. Nine-headed Evil Li's chi also dropped from the 4th destruction realm to the 1st destruction realm. Even the depths of the 2 beasts' souls were trembling. Before this, they only knew that Ning Fan was a Fu Li. However, they did not know that he was actually a Fu Li with ancestral blood. The royal blood Fu Li could control the Sin Seal and easily kill any Sin Li. The ancestral blood of Fu Li could greatly weaken the cultivation of any Sin Li with just the pressure of its bloodline. This is ancestral blood demon blood pressure. Impossible. Liu Bei is actually an ancestral blood demon cultivator. What kind of demon blood is this? I've never heard of it before. It isn't any of the demon race that I know of, and it isn't even from the Xian Li clan, yet it can greatly reduce Xian Li's cultivation. Why? The silver-haired giant was greatly alarmed, but he fiercely bit the tip of his tongue and spat out blood essence in order to speed up the process of unsealing the ancient jade. Now, the cultivation bases of the 2 life puppets had already weakened. Not to mention stopping Ning Fan for 10 breaths, they could not even stop him for 1 breath. If he didn't have enough time to unseal the ancient jade and release the item sealed within it, he would certainly die in Ning Fan's hands today. Not fast enough. The unsealing of the ancient jade was still not fast enough. The silver-haired giant ignited his mournful death blood. He did not hesitate to burn his demonic veins to speed up the unsealing of the ancient jade. 5 breaths, no, 3 breaths. Just give me 3 breaths. 3 breaths. I will then be able to release the ancient mournful puppet string within this ancient mournful heavenly jade. Then I can easily capture the 5 Xenli puppets and turn the situation around. 3 breaths. Give me 3 breaths. Unfortunately, he was destined to not have 3 breaths of time to unseal the ancient jade. Ning Fan would not even give him 2 breaths. At the moment when he released the ancestral blood pressure and weakened the cultivation bases of the 2 life puppets, the purple-eyed Xenli had already received Ning Fan's order. It immediately spread out black rays that covered the entire sky and turned the 2 Xenli into ashes. 2 Sinli beasts died. The former's cultivation was condensed into 8 sin fruits by the Sin Seal, while the latter's cultivation was condensed into 12 sin fruits by the Sin Seal. To Ning Fan, who possessed the ancestral blood, each of the evil fruits was equivalent to a void fragmentation realm Dao fruit. However, Ning Fan did not have the time to collect these evil fruits at all. Without any hesitation, he rode on the purple-eyed Xenli and turned into a gust of demonic wind, dashing towards the silver-haired giant. Before the second breath arrived, he had already arrived in front of the silver-haired giant and launched an attack. The purple-eyed Xenli flapped its wings and spread out black rays of light that covered the entire sky, sweeping towards the silver-haired giant. Even though the rays of light were as light as a feather, the silver-haired giant's sternum was immediately crushed. It was as if he had been hit by Mount Tai. His finger seals to unseal the ancient jade were forcefully stopped. The light of the ancient jade gradually dimmed and turned back into an ordinary broken piece of jade. Just like the 20 evil fruits, it floated in the boundless void space. Ning Fan heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that the light of the ancient jade had dimmed. It would be best if he could stop the silver-haired giant from unsealing the ancient jade in time. The silver-haired giant stepped on the void space while holding his chest with one of his hands. He only managed to stabilize his body after retreating 10,000 li. The silver-haired giant showed a pained expression as he lost the ancient jade 10,000 li away. However, he gritted his teeth and directly gave up on picking up the ancient jade. With a flash of light, he fled in a hurry. Lost. This time, I've been utterly defeated. I even lost the ancient jade. It is no longer possible for me to be a match for the purple-eyed Xenli. I must run. Seeing that the silver-haired giant was about to turn around and flee, Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and summoned the fire puppet with a wave of his hand, ordering it to pick up the ancient jade and all the evil fruits. As for himself, he rode the Xenli and continued to chase after the silver-haired giant. Currently, the silver-haired giant had even ignited his mournful death devil veins. Thus, his speed of fleeing was extremely fast. It was not any slower than the purple-eyed Xenli. However, as his devil veins gradually burned out, his speed gradually decreased. In the end, Ning Fan caught up to him after he had fled for hundreds of millions of li. At this moment, the silver-haired giant was already on the verge of death. He stared at Ning Fan, who was blocking his path, with an extremely resentful expression. Liu Bei! Liu Bei! Liu Bei! Why do you want to kill me? You've gone too far. You've gone too far. If you didn't have the help of the broken 5 evil li, do you think I'll be afraid of a mere junior of the absolute void stage like you? You're just a useless person who assumes the might of a tiger. But before he could finish his words, Ning Fan showed a mocking expression. With a flash of light, he rode the purple-eyed Xenli and moved 100 li to the side. At the void space where Ning Fan was originally standing, a massive door of light suddenly appeared. Countless mechanical war chariots flew out from the light door. The spirit crossbows inside the war chariots fired at the same time. Millions of spirit arrows were shot at Ning Fan. Each of the spirit arrows was powerful enough to kill a gold core realm cultivator. Even a void fragmentation realm cultivator would die directly if they are careless when facing the joint attack of millions of spirit arrows. Even at this stage, the silver-haired giant's mind was still cunning. He still had the intention of launching a sneak attack on Ning Fan. He purposely fled hundreds of millions of li away in order to launch a sneak attack when Ning Fan was careless. Even when he was at the end of his rope, he was still unwilling to bow down and wait for his death. Unfortunately, Ning Fan had his guard up against him. It was impossible for him to fall into his trap. It's really a pity that all these millions of spirit arrows missed their target. Aren't you going to run anymore? Or are you going to launch a sneak attack on me for the 3rd time? Ning Fan's sneer carried a hint of mockery. I'm not going to run anymore. I'm going to perish together with you. 1,000 puppets, appear. The body of the silver-haired giant's spiritual puppet suddenly shattered. He exited his giant form and turned into the appearance of a silver-haired elderly man. He was none other than Wan Changkong. Wan Changkong pointed his finger and more than 40 light doors appeared in front of him out of nowhere. 20 to 30 void refinement realm spiritual puppets walked out of each light door. These spiritual puppets were different from the life puppets. All of them were death puppets, which were the most common spiritual puppets in the cultivation world. Some of them were refined from plants and wood, some were refined from spiritual ores, some were made from clay, some were made from ice, and some were made from human corpses. There were a total of 1,023 spiritual puppets in this place, and each of them was at the void inquiry stage. These 1023 spiritual puppets were the parts that made up Wan Changkong's body. Including Wan Changkong himself, there were 1,024 spiritual puppets in total. Other than the life puppet technique, Wan Changkong also inherited a magic technique from the ancient morning heavenly jade. It was called the Vajra body fusion technique. The main purpose of this technique was to let the cultivators of the morning death devil vein cultivate themselves into spiritual puppets. After that, they would refine a large number of death puppets. Through merging with the death puppets, they would obtain a powerful physical body that was far beyond their own cultivation realm. The reason why Wan Changkong's physical body could reach the fifth heavenly layer of the nirvana realm was because he had merged with the 1023 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets. Now that he had unlocked the body fusion technique, he could naturally summon the 1023 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets to fight for him. Wan Changkong's eyes flashed with crazy killing intent. He performed a hand seal and the void inquiry stage spiritual puppets immediately soared into the sky, surrounding Ning Fan. As soon as they got close to him, they immediately exploded. In just a few breaths, nearly 200 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets had already exploded. When nearly 200 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets exploded at the same time, the resulting shockwave was enough to kill Ning Fan instantly. She opened her mouth and swallowed all the shockwave of the explosion into her abdomen, afraid that Ning Fan would be hurt. However, he was unscathed. Ning Fan, on the other hand, was unscathed. Her internal organs, on the other hand, were injured from the inside out. If she did not protect Ning Fan, she would not be hurt. This was the first time she got hurt since she broke the seal. Her chi became a little chaotic. The 5 broken void inquiry stage spiritual puppets are nothing more than this. You are still hurt by the explosion of my spiritual puppets, aren't you? Wan Changkong became even more excited. I don't want them anymore. I can give up on these void inquiry stage spiritual puppets. I don't want any of them. Even though the spiritual puppets are precious, his life is more important. If he cannot escape from today's calamity, everything else would just be empty talk. I don't believe that even 1,000 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets can't kill all of you. Explode! 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 Wan Changkong laughed ferociously. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. Originally, he had a way to escape into the small kiliacosm and avoid the explosion of these spiritual puppets. She did not know that he had a way to protect himself. That was why she was willing to risk getting hurt to protect him. Ning Fan did not know what kind of motive she had that made her submit to him, listen to his orders, and protect him. However, when he saw that she wanted to protect him even if it meant hurting herself, he found it hard to calm down. You should take a rest. This Wan Changkong is already an arrow at the end of its flight. I can kill him myself. Even if there are 10 times more void inquiry stage spiritual puppets, they will still pose no threat to me now. None of the spiritual puppets in the billions of worlds can take my life. All of you will become my prisoners. I will imprison your life with a single finger. Ning Fan, who was dressed in black robes, flashed and disappeared from the top of Nieli's head. When he reappeared, he was standing in front of the 800 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets. His long hair danced wildly in the air. A pitch-black crescent moon slowly appeared in his left eye. At the moment when the crescent moon appeared, the connection between the 800 spiritual puppets and Wan Changkong was cut off. Each of the spiritual puppets stopped moving in the void space with blank expressions, not knowing what to do next. Then, the mark of a black moon slowly appeared on the bodies of the spiritual puppets. At the moment when the mark of the black moon appeared, the 800 spiritual puppets instantly changed sides and became Ning Fan's void inquiry stage spiritual puppets. In the void space, the 800 spiritual puppets bowed to Ning Fan at the same time to show their allegiance. Black Moon Divine Ability. This is the power of the Black Moon Divine Ability. With just a single divine ability, it can directly deprive me of the right to control the 800 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets. What a domineering magic technique. If you encounter the black moon, you will be destroyed if you go against it. If you encounter the black moon, you will be destroyed if you go against it. As a spiritual puppet master and a member of the Dao Wang clan, no one can go against the black moon. Wan Changkong looked at the scene in front of him as if he had gone mad. His eyes were filled with unwillingness. He had spent his entire life killing to obtain his current status, and that was how he refined these void inquiry stage spiritual puppets. However, in the blink of an eye, all of these spiritual puppets were taken away by Ning Fan. Why? At this moment, Wan Changkong released the body of giant venomous snake. His physical body was no longer as strong as before. At this moment, Wan Changkong only had the cultivation base of the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. However, he was severely injured and on the verge of death. Even so, he was unwilling to die here. He was unwilling. If you spare my life, I will be your puppet and your slave. I will help you kill the Vine Sovereign. With my Vajra body fusion technique, I can fuse thousands of puppets into my body. After that, my physical body will be comparable to a fifth heavenly layer nirvana realm cultivator. Even the Vine Sovereign won't be my match. Wan Changkong begged for mercy. Ning Fan approached Wan Changkong step by step and said coldly, "No need. Even if I need a strong expert to be my slave, I won't look for you. It's because I don't believe you at all." Bang! Ning Fan's body suddenly shattered into traces of black shadows that drifted away. At the moment when his physical body shattered, a silver door of light appeared in the void space where he was just a moment ago. This time, 4 void fragmentation realm cannons shot out from the light door, trying to blast Ning Fan into pieces. Fortunately, Ning Fan dispersed his physical body in time and managed to avoid this attack by a hair's breadth. This was Wan Changkong's third sneak attack. Even until the last moment, he would still bite back. Ning Fan must not be careless. Even if a restriction is planted on him and his memories are erased, he would still be a disaster. You won't have the chance to sneak attack me for the 4th time. You can die now. The black shadows condensed and Ning Fan appeared behind Wan Changkong. He raised his hand and a ray of golden sword light cut Wan Changkong's head into 2. The treacherous and ruthless Wan Changkong had truly fallen. The 13th trace of his spirit clone that he secretly cultivated tried to escape, but it was discovered by Ning Fan, who coldly searched his soul and memories. The moment Wan Changkong died, all the cultivators who were turned into puppets in the entire Eastern Tree Sea began to turn into ashes and dissipate. It was not just the Eastern Tree Sea. Even some cultivators in the other 3 great tree seas began to turn into ashes and dissipate. These people were also Wan Changkong's puppets. They were the spies that he had planted. If it wasn't for Ning Fan who killed Wan Changkong, these spies would probably never show up. After Ning Fan searched his soul, he breathed out devil flames and burned Wan Changkong's corpse into ashes. Only then did he confirm that he was dead. He took away Wan Changkong's storage pouch and the 800 spiritual puppets. Then he returned to the top of Nye Li's head and drove it back to find the Zhihua puppet. Zhihua had already followed Ning Fan's order and found the ancient jade and the 20 evil fruits and handed them to Ning Fan. In this battle, Ning Fan obtained a total of 27 evil fruits. To others, this fruit was a poisonous fruit that would cause them to suffer a backlash. To Ning Fan, however, it was a great supplement which was equivalent to a void fragmentation realm Dao fruit. Ning Fan kept the evil fruits and carefully studied the 5-colored ancient jade. The more he looked at it, the more shocked he became. From Wan Changkong's memories, Ning Fan learned that this 5-colored ancient jade was called the Morning Ancient Heavenly Jade. It could help cultivators open up the Morning Death Devil veins and obtain a few secret techniques of the Morning Death clan. Among those secret techniques were the Life Puppet technique and the Vajra Body Fusion technique. Inside this Morning Ancient Heavenly Jade, there was a thread that was sealed. It was a puppet thread. It was the life puppet thread that was once used by the Morning Ancestor. This thread possessed a great ability. With this thread, one could refine a puppet that was 1 level higher than him once. Ning Fan could not help but feel shocked. If he was a little slower in his actions and allowed Wan Changkong to unseal this thread, he would probably directly refine himself into a puppet. If he was not forced into a dead end, Wan Changkong would not use this thread. Originally, he planned to use this thread to capture a rogue immortal as a puppet and roam the 9 worlds. Wan Changkong was a void realm cultivator. With this thread, he could capture a rogue immortal as a puppet. Ning Fan was an absolute void realm cultivator. With this thread, he could at least capture a 6th or 7th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivator as a puppet. He could even try to capture an 8th heavenly layer cultivator. I wonder if I can use the puppet thread of the morning ancestor to refine a rogue immortal into a puppet? In the past, Ning Fan had been thinking about how to control a rogue immortal. However, he had never thought about refining a rogue immortal into a puppet. Now that he had obtained the puppet thread of the morning ancestor, he could change his train of thought. If he directly refines a rogue immortal into a puppet, it would be much easier and safer than using the devil subduing hoop to control it. This is feasible. However, for the sake of safety, I will try to use this thread to subdue the rogue immortal after making thorough preparations. Now, it's time to end the grudge between me and the Vine Sovereign. In Jishui City, each of the puppets that caused trouble turned into ashes and vanished. The chaos in the city ended just like that. Looking at Jishui City, which was gradually calming down, the Vine Sovereign was shocked. All the puppets have disappeared. What's going on? Rumbled at Jishui City, the space was suddenly shattered. A black-robed young man stepped on the purple-eyed evil creature and flew out of the crack in the void, returning to the battlefield of Jishui City. At the moment when the purple-eyed evil creature reappeared, black rays of light immediately swept down from the sky. At this moment, there were already many cultivators of the Vine Palace who had rushed to the battlefield to provide reinforcements. However, as the black rays of light swept across, all of the cultivators of the Vine Palace were turned into ashes. The few remaining elders of the Vine Palace had either died in the hands of the 2 sovereigns or were killed by the black rays of light. Now, only a severely injured void fragmentation realm cultivator had survived. Liu Bei has returned. Wan Changkong must be dead. We've lost this battle. Old Monster Tian Fei's expression was extremely gloomy. Retreat. The Vine Sovereign gritted her teeth and said. The 2 of them each took out a jade slip and crushed it. Immediately, a huge realm gate appeared behind them. Without any hesitation, the 2 of them leaped into their respective realm gates and escaped without a trace. The escaped jade slips of the 2 of them were actually the rain slips of the realm gate. The direction they were fleeing to was not the West Tree Sea but the Heaven Immortal World. The location of the 3-world sect was exactly the Heaven Immortal World. After the defeat this time, all the experts of the Vine Palace were killed. The Vine Sovereign herself was also severely injured. Naturally, she did not dare to stay in the tree world to recuperate as she was afraid that Lu Haoyue would take revenge on her. Thus, she directly fled the tree world. Where do you think you're going? A void fragmentation realm cultivator of the Lu Palace was unwilling to let go of the Vine Sovereign and Old Monster Tian Fei. Lu Haoyue wanted to stop that person, but it was already too late. Just as the void fragmentation realm cultivator of the Lu Palace stepped into the realm gate, a ray of purple light suddenly rose from the realm gate and swept across the void fragmentation realm cultivator of the Lu Palace. That void fragmentation realm old monster immediately let out a miserable shriek. He was directly turned into ashes by the purple light. The realm-breaking light. The other void fragmentation realm cultivators of the Lu Palace were shocked. The escaped jade slips of the Vine Sovereign and Old Monster Tian Fei actually had the realm-breaking light to protect the realm gate. With this light, anyone who enters the realm gate would be directly turned into ashes by the realm-breaking light. Pass my order. No one in the Lu Palace is allowed to enter the realm gate. Lu Haoyue sighed and closed his eyes. Damn it. I actually let Tingunan escape. The Bamboo Sovereign was enraged. The injury of his broken arm became even more painful. With a slap of his palm, he killed the last void fragmentation realm cultivator of the Vine Palace who could not escape in time to vent the hatred in his heart. Ning Fan stood on top of Nye Li's head in silence. Currently, his magic power had been exhausted and the purple-eyed Nyeli had also suffered some injuries. Let alone the fact that the realm-breaking light was blocking them from entering the realm gate. Even if they managed to chase after the Vine Sovereign, they might not have 100% chance of killing the Vine Sovereign. However, if he lets the Vine Sovereign go, she would certainly become a source of trouble. Ning Fan pondered for a while. When he saw that there was only a faint layer of realm-breaking light outside the two realm gates, he immediately came up with an idea. He patted his storage pouch and took out 200 Void Inquiry Stage spiritual puppets. Then he performed a hand seal. Explode! The self-detonation of the 200 Void Inquiry Stage spiritual puppets immediately blasted a hole in the thin layer of realm-breaking light outside the realm gate. As soon as the hole appeared, Ning Fan rode on Nyeli and rushed into one of the two realm gates. That realm gate was not the one that the heavenly birds used to escape from. Instead, it was the one that the Vine Sovereign used. The moment Ning Fan rushed into the realm gate, the realm-breaking light outside the realm gate disappeared. Brother Lu has gone in? The Bamboo Sovereign found it hard to believe. Lu Haoyue answered casually. His eyes were filled with worry. He was worried about Ning Fan's safety and whether he could successfully kill the Vine Sovereign. In the past, he only admired Ning Fan's Dao comprehension. Now, he admired Ning Fan's way of doing things even more. He did not want anything to happen to Ning Fan. In the realm gate, the Vine Sovereign was flying towards the heaven immortal world with a gloomy expression. She would mutter to herself from time to time, "Liu Bei, you foiled my great plan and forced me to flee from the tree world. I will remember this debt. The next time we meet will be the moment of your death." Is that so? We have already met again. I really want to see how you are going to kill me. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold and he ordered Nyeli to use the black light to attack. The Vine Sovereign was already not a match for the purple-eyed girl Nyeli in the first place. Now that she was severely injured, how could she be a match for Ning Fan and Nyeli? "Liu Bei, you can't kill me. You can't. If you let me go, the grudge between us will be written off. How about that? I don't believe you. If you kill me, the Three Realms sect will certainly not let you go. If I don't kill you, will the Three Realms sect let me go?" 3 days later, in the heaven immortal world, the Vine Sovereign's corpse suddenly fell from the sky and crashed into the entrance of the Three Realms sect. The entire sect was shocked. Old Monster Tian Hao, who had just returned to the sect, was even more terrified. Someone actually chased him into the realm gate and killed the Vine Sovereign. Who was it? Fortunately, that person did not enter his realm gate. Otherwise, the one who died would not be the Vine Sovereign but him. It was so close. Tian Hao, this sect master is asking you, who killed Du Yu? A drawn-out voice suddenly sounded out from afar. He did not ask the Vine Sovereign but Du Yu because to him, Du Yu was more useful than the Vine Sovereign. Chapter 605. It took Ning Fan 3 days to chase after the Vine Sovereign. Even though the Vine Sovereign was severely injured, she still managed to inflict serious injuries on Ning Fan and Nyeli with her powerful divine abilities. When the Vine Sovereign tried to escape, she split her body into 10 rays of light and escaped. Ning Fan killed them one by one and spent a lot of effort to chase after them. 3 days later, Ning Fan returned to the realm gate along the same path. The gate was already closed on his way here. Ning Fan spent another half a month's time and used the wind mist technique to create a gap in the world passage. Only then did he return to the Eastern Tree Sea. During this calamity, countless cultivators died in the Eastern Tree Sea. Other than the 10 million cultivators who were turned into living puppets, there were 60 to 70 million cultivators who died in the chaos. If Ning Fan didn't kill Wan Changkong in time and turn all the living puppets into ashes, the number of casualties in the Eastern Tree Sea would be even higher. The vitality of both the Eastern Tree Bamboo Sea and the Western Tree Vine Sea were greatly damaged. Except for the Bamboo Sovereign, all the Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators of the Bamboo Palace died in this calamity. All the Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators of the Vine Palace, including the Vine Sovereign, died in the calamity. Even one of the void fragmentation realm cultivators of the Lu Palace died in vain. More than half a month had passed. Jishui City that was destroyed by the war had already been rebuilt. Many cultivators of the Tree Clan in the city were wearing plain white robes, remembering their friends and relatives who had died in the calamity. Ning Fan did not return to Jishui City with the Purple Eyes Nyeli. The Purple Eyes Nyeli was severely injured and he kept her in his cauldron world to recuperate. Ning Fan realized that she was actually a female. He returned to Jishui City alone in white robes. As soon as he entered the city, an elder of the Lu Palace who was at the first-level destruction realm immediately came out to welcome him. Elder Xiutan of the Lu Palace respectfully welcomes the Northern Tree Sovereign. The elder whose name was Xiutan cupped his fists at Ning Fan respectfully. Northern Tree Sovereign? What do you mean? Ning Fan was slightly stunned. He did not know when he had gotten this title. Seeing Ning Fan's puzzled expression, Xiutan immediately explained. From the time Ning Fan chased after the Vine Sovereign to the time he returned to the Tree World, it took him a total of 18 days. 3 days ago, Ning Fan had already killed the Vine Sovereign. At the same time, the Vine Sovereign's life token in the Tree World shattered. The news of the Vine Sovereign's death spread like wildfire. The entire Tree World knew about the Vine Sovereign's death. The incident where Ning Fan chased after the Vine Sovereign to enter the World Passage was witnessed by several tens of thousands of cultivators. Those who were observant could easily find out that the person who killed the Vine Sovereign was Ning Fan. Ning Fan's alias in the Tree World was Liu Bei. The title of Sovereign Northern Tree came from this name. Ever since Ning Fan entered the World Passage, Lu Haoyue had been waiting outside the World Passage, worrying about Ning Fan's safety. It was only until he received the news of the Vine Sovereign's death that he was convinced that Ning Fan had successfully killed the Vine Sovereign and that he would return to the Tree World in a few days. Hence, he didn't stay in the Eastern Forest Sea any longer. He left a few elders of the Willow Hall to guard the Eastern Forest Sea and brought the Bamboo Sovereign and his other subordinates to the Western Forest Sea to eliminate the Vine Sovereign's forces and take over the Vine Hall. Now that the Vine Sovereign was dead, the Vine Hall's countless inheritances naturally had to change owners. Lu Haoyue and the Bamboo Sovereign purposely left a voice transmission jade slip for Xiutan to pass to Ning Fan. Ning Fan immersed his spirit sense into the jade slip. The voices of the Bamboo and Lu Sovereigns were immediately transmitted into his sea of consciousness. If Brother Lu returns, please come to the Western Forest Sea as soon as possible. There are quite a lot of heavenly materials and earthly treasures in the Vine Hall. If it wasn't for Brother Lu's help, the two of us would certainly die in Tinggunnen's hands. The hundreds of generations of treasures of the Vine Hall should belong to Brother Lu. From now on, there will be no sovereign in the Western Forest Sea and no sovereign in the Northern Forest Sea. If Brother Lu is willing, you can be the sovereign of the Western and Northern Forest Seas from now on. Since Brother Lu's name has the word North in it, I will address you as Sovereign Northern Tree. What do you think? Ning Fan finished reading the jade slip and kept it without saying a word. Xiutan still had some matters to attend to. After delivering the jade slip, he took his leave first. Ning Fan entered the city alone. His mind was racing and he felt a little disappointed. When he first entered Jishui City, there were as many cultivators as the clouds in the city. There were endless cultivators coming and going on the long street. At this moment, most of the cultivators in Jishui City had fallen. There were only a few people on the long street. The atmosphere was different, but there were two completely different Tao rhymes. This is the Tao rhythm of life and death. Life and death. Once you break through life and death, you will be qualified to seek for the immortal path and achieve immortality. What is life and what is death? In the past, I only knew that before one's lifespan ends, life is life and death is death. But now, it seems that this view is not correct. Immortals have no lifespan. Judging life and death by lifespan is obviously one-sided. Life and death, life and death. When there are so many people on the street, this street is alive. When there are no people, this street is dead. To the long street, death isn't the end of one's lifespan, but it's related to the endless pedestrians. I don't know what the true meaning of life and death is in this. During the great calamity of the Eastern Tree Sea this time, he had witnessed the life and death of countless people. Compared to the past when he personally killed people, the feeling he got was different. Thus, he naturally had a new understanding of life and death. Comprehending the Tao of life and death was the key to becoming an immortal. It was not surprising that the current Ning fan could not see through life and death. Comprehending the Tao of life and death was something that void fragmentation realm cultivators needed to consider. Ning fan was just an absolute void stage cultivator. What he needed to comprehend right now was how to break the hollow space. His comprehension of the void gradually advanced from the void glimpse stage, void inquiry stage, void pure stage and absolute void stage to the great perfection stage. However, after reaching the great perfection stage, he needed to break this circle and jump out of this void. Breaking the hollow space. Breaking the hollow space. There is nothing in the hollow space. How do I break it? How do I break the hollow space? Ning fan sighed in disappointment. He was still quite a distance away from the void fragmentation realm. He had a feeling that the higher his cultivation base was, the more ignorant he felt. When he was at the vein opening realm, he obtained the first ring of inheritance of the heavenly Tao in the chaotic ancient land. Then, he thought that he was already above void fragmentation realm cultivators. Now that he recalled the past, he felt that he was a little too arrogant in the past. He slowly stopped walking. With a flick of his sleeve, a piece of white paper slowly appeared in his palm. There was no ink on his fingertip. When he drew on the white paper, he drew an ink-colored circle. The great Tao was like a piece of white paper while the cultivators were like circles on the paper. The smaller the circle, the fewer places the edges of the circle touched. The bigger the circle, the more places the edges of the circle touched. The lower one's cultivation base was, the shallower the Tao that one could see. The higher one's cultivation base was, the deeper the Tao that one could see and the more ignorant one would feel. Being able to understand one's ignorance was much more brilliant than thinking that one knew everything. Ning fan looked at the circle on the paper. He knew that if he wants to break the void fragmentation realm, he would have to break that circle and that void. He pointed his finger and the white paper turned into ashes and dissipated as if it had never existed before. Ning fan looked at the ashes of the paper drifting away. He seemed to have comprehended something, but he could not fully comprehend it. He no longer pondered about these problems of Tao comprehension. Instead, he reflected on his trip to the tree world. This time, he had obtained quite a lot of benefits from entering the tree world. The day he attained the first grade rain intent was just around the corner. He had already cultivated the minor 5 elements physique. Besides, if he devours the ancestral bamboo, his wood element physique would probably reach perfection in one go. His cultivation base had already broken through to the absolute void stage. If he could empty the 100 generations of the vine hall's accumulations and use the countless heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures to improve his cultivation base would certainly skyrocket once again. He had cultivated the royal ancient divine bloodline and opened the first heart acupoint of the ancient god. His cultivation speed would certainly increase tremendously in the future. During his trip to the tree world this time, Ning fan had also fulfilled Mu Luo's request by finding the members of the Ming Luo clan and killing Wan Chongkong to avenge them. If he could bring the members of the Ming Luo clan and the remnant soul of the Yu Huang back to the rain world, it would also be a good thing. During his trip to the tree world this time, Ning fan had even subdued Nieli, who was at the 5th void fragmentation realm, and subdued 600 void inquiry stage spiritual puppets. The number of heavenly tribulation puppets he had increased to 5, and he also had Ting Shenro, who was a void fragmentation realm helper. Currently, Ning fan's combat power was probably much stronger than the entire Rain Palace. Not only that, after killing Wan Chongkong, he had also obtained the Morning Ancient Heavenly Jade, which had a puppet thread of the Morning Ancestors sealed in it. If he could refine the Rogue Devil into a living puppet with this puppet thread, he would have an 8th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm helper by his side. With my current wealth, it won't be difficult for me to fight against Moksha Sovereign. Once the 100 years period is up and the ancient heavenly court opens, Moksha Sovereign will definitely die. Entering the tree world this time, Ning Fan had obtained a great fortune, but he had also provoked a strong enemy. He had killed Du Yu and was punished by the Vine Palace. Now that the Vine Palace had been annihilated, the Three Realms sect which was behind the Vine Palace would certainly hate him. The sect master of the Three Realms sect is an old monster at the 8th heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation realm. If I can successfully control the rogue devil, I will be able to fight against him and I won't have to fear the Three Realms sect anymore. If I can't, I won't be able to fight against the Three Realms sect. With my current absolute void stage cultivation base, the probability of refining the rogue devil into a living puppet is less than 50% even if I have the puppet thread of the morning ancestor. If my cultivation base can advance further and attain the primordial returning realm, the probability of subduing the rogue devil will be at least 90%. It's not difficult to attain the primordial returning realm. I won't stay in the tree world for long. I don't need the title of Northern Tree Sovereign, and I have never thought of ruling the Western Tree Sea and the Northern Tree Sea. However, I must take away the 100 generations of accumulation of the Vine Palace. With the 100 generations of accumulation of the Vine Palace, I will pave the path to the primordial returning realm for myself. After that, I will subdue the rogue devil in one fell swoop. By then, the Three Realms sect will no longer be a threat to me. Let's put the matter of the Three Realms sect aside for now. There are some troubles in the Rain world. As for the Devil world, I wonder what Moksha Sovereign will do after learning that I've killed the Vine Sovereign. Ning Fan sighed. From the moment he subdued the evil Li and appeared in the sky above Ji Shui, he was destined to not be able to continue hiding his identity in the tree world. The matter of subduing the evil Li was enough to make him famous in the 9 worlds and attract the attention of all the void fragmentation realm experts in the world. Moreover, the matter of killing the Vine Sovereign could not be hidden from the cultivators in the world. The death of a divine sovereign of the 9 worlds was a major event. Even if the one who died was a divine sovereign of the 3 lower worlds, it would still attract the attention of many cultivators in the 9 worlds. Perhaps, the news of the Vine Sovereign's death had already spread across the entire 9 worlds. As for Ning Fan, the culprit who killed the Vine Sovereign, he must have already been exposed to the world. Some people who are observant might have already found out that Ning Fan was not Liu Bei but Marquis White Robe of the Rain world. If the Rain Sovereign of the Rain world finds out about Ning Fan's shocking battle achievements, what would he think? Would he be wary of Ning Fan and befriend him? Or would he hate Ning Fan out of jealousy and turn against him? The battle in the tree world this time was too huge. It had directly pushed Ning Fan to the peak of the storm. From today onwards, no one knew how many troubles would come one after another. Unknowingly, Ning Fan had already arrived outside the residence of the Fu Sang clan. He stopped in his tracks. With a flash of traveling light, he directly appeared in the main hall of the residence. The patriarch of the Fu Sang clan, Tang Xiong, was having a discussion with a few elders of the clan. Each of them wore a worried expression. As soon as they saw Ning Fan's sudden arrival, all of them immediately stood up to greet him. None of them dared to show any neglect. Ning Fan had killed the Vine Sovereign and Wan Changkong. In the battle in Ji Shui this time, he had even killed countless void fragmentation realm experts. His name, North Tree Sovereign, had already spread across the tree world and even to the other worlds. Even though Ning Fan was just an absolute void stage cultivator, in the eyes of the members of the Fu Sang clan, he was no different from a 5th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm divine sovereign. We, the members of the Fu Sang clan, greet North Tree Sovereign. May I know why North Tree Sovereign has come today? Tang Xiong said respectfully. I owe Senior Fu Sang a favor. The reason why I came here today is to send his ashes back. That's all. What? Old ancestors' ashes? Tang Xiong and the other members of the Fu Sang clan all wore sad and excited expressions. They were sad because they remembered the past of their old ancestor's death. They were excited because they had found his ashes so that his body would not be left to wander around outside. Ning Fan flicked his finger and an exquisite jade box immediately appeared on the bamboo table in the middle of the hall. That jade box contained old demon Fu Sang's ashes. The ashes faintly emitted a trace of the old demon's chi, old ancestor. Tang Xiong and the other elders had tears in their eyes. They knelt down and kowtowed to the jade box. Farewell. Ning Fan sighed softly and turned to leave. Since he had sent back old demon Fu Sang's ashes, he no longer owed the Fu Sang clan anything. Previously, he had agreed to help Tang Xiong take care of Tang Yuan because Tang Xiong was very likely to die in this calamity. Today, due to his intervention, Tang Xiong did not die and the Fu Sang clan was not destroyed. Thus, he had no reason nor need to take Tang Yuan as his concubine. North Tree Sovereign, please wait. Tang Xiong wanted to stop Ning Fan, but Ning Fan walked further and further away. Soon, he disappeared from their sight. Tang Xiong sighed softly. To be honest, now that he was still alive, he was reluctant to give his daughter to Ning Fan as his concubine. Ning Fan's refusal to take Tang Yuan as his concubine made him feel both happy and regretful. He was happy because he could choose another suitable Dao companion for his daughter. Regretful because he had lost the chance to form a marriage alliance with Ning Fan. To the declining Fu Sang clan, Ning Fan's reputation could be said to be a protective umbrella. All right, Yon'er, come out. Since you are not fated to be with the North Tree Sovereign, I will find another suitable Dao companion for you in the future. Tang Xiong said to the direction of the inner door of the hall. I don't want a Dao companion. I won't marry anyone. Behind the bead curtain of the inner door, a young lady in red robes stomped her feet angrily. Then, she turned around and ran away. She was Tang Yuan, the little princess of the Fu Sang clan who had foolishly provoked Ning Fan time and time again. It was obviously a good thing that she did not need to be betrothed to Ning Fan by her father. She obviously hated Ning Fan and was unwilling to marry him. However, at this moment, when she secretly saw Ning Fan's back as he turned around and left, she suddenly felt a little sad. She had a feeling that Ning Fan would never return to the Fu Sang clan after he left this place. She had a feeling that the grudge between him and the Fu Sang clan had been settled. They would never meet again. They would miss each other. He never liked me. If I was more sensible in the past, would he not hate me so much? Tang Yuan sat in her room, her heart filled with suffocation. One day later, the Fu Sang clan buried the ashes of their old ancestor in the imperial tomb of Mu Yi country. This place had the cenotaphs of past bamboo sovereigns and void fragmentation realm experts. However, no one had ever buried the ashes of cultivators here. Tang Yuan knelt in front of old demon Fusang's grave. Her eyes turned into peaches from crying. After all the Fusang clansmen paid their respects, they walked out of the imperial mausoleum and waited outside. Only Tang Yuan was unwilling to leave. Old demon Fusang was her grandfather. He had always doted on her, so much so that she became unruly and willful. From now on, she would no longer be pampered by her grandfather. From now on, she needed to gradually learn to be sensible, learn not to be willful, and learn to bear the responsibility given to her by the family. At some point in time, a white-robed youth suddenly appeared in the imperial mausoleum. He appeared before old monster Fusang's grave. When Tang Yuan seemed to have sensed it, she turned around and saw the young man's face. She was immediately shocked and said angrily, "Do you want to die? Is it fun to scare people by hiding behind them? I've never heard of a nascent soul cultivator being scared to death. If Miss Glutinous Dumpling is scared to death by me, I'm afraid that it will become an interesting anecdote in the cultivation world, enough to be recorded in history." Ning Fan teased. "Humph, such a glib tongue. He's not a good person." Tang Yuan scolded in a low voice. Inwardly, she was secretly delighted. She didn't expect to see Ning Fan again. Miss Glutinous Dumpling still hasn't learned her lesson and dares to scold me. Aren't you afraid that I will throw you into the lair of a void refinement realm demon beast? Dedont. Grandpa, my dear grandpa, let's talk this out. Don't use force. A gentleman uses his mouth instead of his fists. A great man will not bear a grudge against a lowly man. Please don't lower yourself to my level. Don't throw me into the lair of a demon beast. Tang Yuan instantly admitted defeat without any sense of integrity. Interesting. From today onwards, Cultivate well and break through to the divine transformation realm and void refinement realm as soon as possible. The next time I come to the Eastern Tree Sea, I might really throw you into the lair of a void refinement realm ferocious beast. If you don't have a void refinement realm cultivation base, you won't have the ability to protect yourself. The corner of Ning Fan's mouth curved into a smile. Then he turned around and left. He realized that Tang Yuan was not completely useless. At least, she was a filial daughter. The word filial was not used by cultivators. Among the cultivators, there were only a few elders who knew how to be filial to their parents. Even though this lady was unruly, she was much stronger than many cultivators. At the very least, she was a human. She would descend the mountain to be a human and ascend the mountain to be an immortal. To be able to do this, she would probably have a higher chance than many cultivators in the Tao of immortality. Ning Fan left Jishui City and Muyi Country and headed towards the Western Tree Sea at full speed. Tang Yuan looked at the traveling light that Ning Fan left in and watched as it gradually disappeared into the horizon. She felt a little disappointed but also a little hopeful. He told me to cultivate diligently. He said that we will meet again and he will throw me into the lair of a void refinement realm ferocious beast. All of a sudden, Tang Yuan felt that it was not a big deal to be thrown into the lair of a void refinement realm ferocious beast. At the very least, she would be able to meet him again, wouldn't she? Alright. From today onwards, I will be a cultivator who practices hard cultivation. When we meet again, I will certainly make you look at me in a different light. Grandpa, you just wait and see. I won't let you down. Ning Fan traveled at full speed all the way from the Eastern Tree Sea to the Southern Tree Sea. Then, he entered the Western Tree Sea from the Southern Tree Sea. When he arrived at the Western Tree Sea, it was already more than a month later. After another 7 days, he finally arrived at the Vine King city of the Western Tree Sea. Before he entered the city, Lu Haoyue had already come out to welcome him. Brother Lu, you're a little late. I have already finished inspecting the Vine King city 4 days ago. The accumulation of the Vine Palace for hundreds of generations is now stored in the heavenly dwelling of the inner palace of the Vine King Palace. Brother Lu, are you willing to go and have a look? As soon as Lu Haoyue finished speaking, his eyes suddenly turned cold. He transmitted his voice to Ning Fan. There are still 2 deacons of the 4 heavens in the Vine King Palace. They are in charge of investigating the death of the Vine Sovereign. They specifically said that they want to meet you. They might not come with good intentions. Be careful. Deacons of the 4 heavens? Ning Fan's eyes turned grim. It would be fine if they killed the divine sovereigns of the lower worlds discreetly and no one would care about it. If the cultivators of the lower worlds kill each other, no one would care about it if it did not involve the battle between the worlds. However, if the cultivators of a foreign world sneak into another world and kill the divine sovereigns of that world, the matter would not be settled without giving the deacons a valid reason. They would certainly be held accountable. Without the deacons of the lower worlds, wouldn't the experts of the 3 upper worlds be able to sneak into the lower worlds and kill the divine sovereigns of the lower worlds as they please? The deacons of the 4 heavens existed to patrol the lower worlds and maintain the stability of the lower worlds. Firstly, they would catch the cultivators who came to the lower worlds without permission. Secondly, they would prevent the strong worlds from bullying the weak worlds. The involvement of the 3 worlds sect in the dispute of the tree world was something that they needed to investigate. Similarly, Ning Fan killing the Vine Sovereign was also something that they needed to investigate. If the 2 deacons find out that Ning Fan was a cultivator of the rain world, they would probably arrest Ning Fan with the law of the 4 heavens and punish him. A cultivator from the rain world sneaking into the tree world and killing the Vine Sovereign was undoubtedly a serious crime. Of course, if there was a special reason such as a grudge that would not end until one of them dies, Ning Fan might not need to be punished for killing the Vine Sovereign. Brother Lu, do you have the confidence to deal with these 2 deacons of the 4 heavens? If it is necessary, I will think of a way to settle this matter for you. Lu Haoyue transmitted his voice to Ning Fan. I have some confidence but not much. Ning Fan gently shook his head. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed and he looked at the Vine King Palace. He sensed an extremely familiar aura from the Vine King Palace. Currently, he knew one of the two deacons of the four heavens in the Vine King Palace. It's actually Senior Wei Xian. Wei Xian was Old Devil's brother. With Wei Xian's protection, perhaps there won't be any problems in committing this crime. However, I wonder if the other deacons of the four heavens is an enemy or a friend. Ning Fan said with a frown. Chapter 606. When Ning Fan sensed Wei Xian's qi, he felt slightly relieved. Wei Xian would definitely help him. With Wei Xian's mediation, killing the Vine Sovereign wouldn't cause any trouble in the higher domain. Since Brother Lu doesn't have the confidence to deal with the four heavens deacons, how about this? You leave the Vine King Palace first. I will settle the matters here, said Lu Haoyue righteously. Ning Fan smiled faintly. This Lu Haoyue is indeed a person worth befriending. There's no need for that. I'm quite confident in dealing with these four heavenly deacons now. Brother Lu, please lead the way to the Vine King Palace. All right. Lu Haoyue did not ask much. Both of them turned into rays of light and flew into the Vine King Palace in the city. In the main hall, the Bamboo Emperor sat on the main seat while two cultivators sat on the guest seats. They were the four heavenly deacons. One of them was an old man in black robes. His cultivation base was at the second heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. He was none other than Wei Xian, who had given Ning Fan the opportunity in the Star Palace in the past. Sensing Ning Fan's arrival, Wei Xian slowly opened his eyes. He looked at Ning Fan with a hint of disbelief and then gave him a friendly smile. The other person was dressed in a fiery red Taoist robe. He was a handsome young man with a Taoist bun. His cultivation base was at the sixth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. The corner of the young man's lips curled into a faint smile. He played with the teacup in his hand and ignored the others. After sensing Ning Fan's arrival, the young man suddenly raised his head. 4 fiery red stars lit up on his glabella. His eyes were like blazing flames as he stared at Ning Fan. You're Liu Bei, the one who killed the Vine Sovereign? The young man's tone was filled with anger. Ning Fan took half a step back. His heart was slightly startled and he replied in a clear voice. The yin-yang flame in Ning Fan's body was slightly out of control when the young man's gaze landed on him. Fortunately, Ning Fan immediately circulated his minor 5 elements physique to suppress the flames that were about to go out of control. The way he looked at the young man in Taoist robe carried a hint of fear. Inextinguishable fire physique. Ning Fan's expression did not change, but he was inwardly shocked. He had seen through the physique of the young man in Taoist robes. Minor 5 elements body. The young man in Taoist robes was rather surprised when he realized that his ability could not make Ning Fan's flames go out of control. Don't be nervous. Let me introduce you. This deacon is the young clan master of the Chu clan of the Northern Heaven Immortal World's true flame planet, Chu Yuren. He also has another identity. He is one of the 4 sons of the northern sky of this generation. People call him Emperor Nan. Wei Xian stood up politely and introduced the young man in Taoist robes to Ning Fan. His intimate expression towards Ning Fan was not fake at all. It was as if the two of them had a deep friendship. Lu Haoyue and the Bamboo Emperor were stunned. They did not understand why the high and mighty 4 heaven deacons would be so polite to a cultivator from a lower realm. One should know that even if they were divine emperors from the lower worlds, they were rarely treated politely by the 4 deacons. They were immortal officials from the upper realm, after all. Every single one of them had a sense of superiority, and they generally looked down on cultivators from the lower realm. Therefore, Lu Haoyue and the Bamboo Sovereign found it unbelievable that Wei Xian was so polite to Ning Fan. Chu Yuran was slightly startled. Obviously, she did not expect that Wei Xian would be so polite to Ning Fan. Then, his eyes swept back and forth between Wei Xian and Ning Fan, revealing a meaningful smile. Uncle Wei, may I ask if this Liu Bei is your descendant? That's right. Could he be? That's right. The conversation between the two of them contained a hidden meaning that only the authorities could understand. Ning Fan, however, had some deductions from the information revealed in their conversation. This Chu Yuran was very polite to Wei Xian. He even addressed him as uncle. Obviously, the Chu clan of True Flame Star and the Wei clan of He Luo were old friends. It was highly possible that Chu Yuran was a friend and not an enemy. As for Chu Yuran's last sentence, he seemed to have guessed Ning Fan's identity. Ning Fan was not sure what exactly Chu Yuran had guessed. Just as he was pondering, Wei Xian sent him a telepathic message. The old ancestor of the Chu clan was your master's best friend. Unfortunately, he had already passed away before your master was in trouble. Otherwise, he definitely wouldn't have watched your master being bullied by the White Devil sect and betrayed by Han Yetian. There are still a few Void Fragmentation Realm old men in the Chu clan. On the day when the ancient heavenly court opens, these people will find an excuse to enter the ancient heavenly court from the path of four heavens and help you kill Han Yetian. I see. Ning Fan nodded his head. It seemed like this Chu Yuran was indeed a friend and not an enemy. As for the things he had guessed previously, he was probably guessing that Ning Fan was the disciple of the old devil. After knowing Ning Fan's identity, Chu Yuran's gaze towards Ning Fan was filled with friendliness. He stood up and said with a smile, "It turns out that Brother Lu is Senior Han's outstanding disciple. No wonder you could subdue the ferocious beast Nyali and kill the Vine Sovereign with your absolute void stage cultivation base. With such impressive achievements, you really live up to your master's reputation." It seemed like this Chu Yuran held the old devil in high esteem and admired him very much. However, the words he said did not seem to be law-abiding. He was a deacon of the four heavens who came to investigate the death of the Vine Sovereign. When he spoke, he did not seek justice for the fallen Vine Sovereign, nor did he reprimand Ning Fan for killing the Vine Sovereign. He also did not investigate whether Ning Fan was a cultivator from another world. On the contrary, he stood on Ning Fan's side and praised him for killing the Vine Sovereign. Such remarks really did not match his status as a deacon. Lu Haoyue was speechless. Initially, he was worried that these two deacons of the four heavens would cause trouble for Ning Fan. Now, it seemed like these two deacons of the four heavens actually had a close relationship with Ning Fan. The Bamboo Sovereign found it even more unbelievable. He could not figure out how Ning Fan, a cultivator from the lower world, could get in touch with the deacons of the four heavens from the upper world. Judging from the situation, these two deacons of the four heavens were going to show favoritism to Ning Fan. As expected, Chu Yuran's next few questions made the two sovereigns not know whether to laugh or cry. "Liu Bei, let me ask you, were you the one who killed the Vine Sovereign?" "Yes." "Why did you kill him?" "He sent his men to hunt me down first. I was just retaliating." "So it was the Vine Sovereign who provoked you first. In that case, he deserved to die. A divine sovereign of the tree world went after a junior of the absolute void stage for no reason but failed and got killed instead. He deserved it? Alright, the investigation is over. My opinion is that the Vine Sovereign of the tree world deserved to die after Liu Bei. Liu Bei doesn't need to bear any responsibility." "What do you think, Uncle Wei?" Chu Yuran asked with a smile. "I agree with Deacon Chu's opinion." Wei Xian chuckled. "If that's the case, I'll take my leave first. I'll return to the four heavens and report the results of this investigation to the four primordial sects. Uncle Wei and I have been working so hard to investigate the case in the lower world. Unfortunately, the people of the four primordial sects won't even look at the results of our investigation. To them, the death of a void fragmentation realm divine sovereign in the lower world is just a trivial matter. They won't care about it at all. They can't even manage the affairs of the four heavenly immortals, so why would they care about the trivial matters in the lower world?" Chu Yuran looked meaningfully at Lu Haoyue and the Bamboo Emperor. His last words were a reminder to the Bamboo and Lu Emperors. Even though he had obviously shown favoritism to Ning Fan, it would be useless even if he reports this matter to the four primordial sects. It was better for the two sovereigns to pretend that they did not see the matter of favoritism today and not meddle in other people's business. After that, he cupped his fists at Wei Xian and Ning Fan. Then he took out a star compass and summoned a star door. With a single step, he stepped into the star door and returned to the four heavens. What Chu Yuran did not know was that the bamboo sovereign owed Ning Fan a favor of saving his life. Sovereign Lu regarded Ning Fan as his bosom friend, and he could not wait for Ning Fan to get away from his crime. Thus, he did not have any opinion about Chu Yuran's favoritism. Today, the two deacons and the two tree sovereigns in the Vine King Palace were Ning Fan's subordinates. Today, Ning Fan was completely cleared of any crime. The investigation of the deacons of the four heavens has ended. Brother Lu is not guilty. Both of us are relieved. We will take our leave first. Lu Haoyue and the bamboo sovereign knew that Ning Fan was no longer in trouble. In the Vine King Palace, only Ning Fan and Wei Xian were left. Ning Fan looked at Wei Xian and did not know whether to laugh or cry. Senior Wei, did you purposely descend to the mortal world this time to absolve me of my crime? That's right. When I received the dossier on the Vine Sovereign's death and saw that you were the one who killed the Vine Sovereign, I immediately brought Chu Yuran to the lower realm to help you. Many thanks. Ning Fan solemnly cupped his fists towards Wei Xian. This time, Ning Fan felt a little strange about the experience of selling the Vine Sovereign for personal gain. He was a devil cultivator. He would not deny the fact that he had killed the Vine Sovereign. However, he also did not have the intention to compromise and please the deacons of the four heavens to absolve himself of his crime. However, Wei Xian came all the way to the mortal world to absolve Ning Fan of his crime. Ning Fan appreciated his kindness. What are you thanking me for? You are Old Man Han's disciple, which means you are also my disciple. Why can't I help you? Why do you need to thank me? Wei Xian waved his hand, indicating that Ning Fan did not need to thank him. Then he continued, next time, do it more discreetly. Don't let anyone see you. In other words, he was telling Ning Fan to do it more discreetly the next time he kills a divine sovereign from the mortal world. As long as no one sees it, no one would care. Understood. Ning Fan will remember Senior's teachings. That's good. Wei Xian stroked his beard and looked at Ning Fan with satisfaction. It had only been a few years since they last met, and Ning Fan had actually advanced step by step to the absolute void stage from a mere divine transformation realm cultivator. Moreover, Ning Fan was not an ordinary absolute void stage cultivator. In a fit of rage, he even destroyed the Vine Sovereign. As far as Wei Xian knew, the Vine Sovereign and Moksha Sovereign were both cultivators at the fifth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. They were not much weaker than Moksha Sovereign. Since Ning Fan could fight against the Vine Sovereign, he was qualified to challenge Moksha Sovereign. This incident has caused a huge commotion. I have already told Old Han about your deeds. You can even kill the Vine Sovereign. I believe he will be proud of you. Achoo! In the Sword Realm, Old Devil Han was sitting leisurely in a glacial sword city when he suddenly sneezed. Who's bad-mouthing me behind my back? You made me sneeze. Old Demon Han was the first to curse. How disrespectful. This Ning brat's behavior was simply disrespecting his elders. He actually single-handedly destroyed the Vine Hall of the Tree World. But he didn't even ask me, his master, to go with him. How disrespectful. Old Demon Han looked at the jade slip that Wei Xian had sent over and cursed again. Little Ning is too weak. He's really fast. He's dozens of times faster than me when I was young. That's not right. As a man, what good was there in being fast? What was important was endurance. Endurance is the most important thing. I can last longer than Little Ning. I'm proud. I'm proud. Old Devil Han cursed for the third time. Old Man Wei said that Little Ning will go to the ancient heavenly court in another 40 years to fight against that evil disciple. Old Devil's expression suddenly turned silent and revealed a worried expression. Little Ning, I don't care whether I kill that evil disciple or not. But you can't die. You must be careful. You're my only disciple. After having a secret conversation with Ning Fan for a few hours, Wei Xian left a bulging storage pouch for Ning Fan and returned to the fourth heavenly court. What he discussed with Ning Fan was the matter of going to the ancient heavenly court to help him 40 years later. In the storage pouch that he passed to Ning Fan, there were nearly 100 bottles of peak sixth revolution pills. All of them were pills that could increase one's cultivation base at the absolute void stage. These pills were collected by Wei Xian with great difficulty just to give to Ning Fan to help him increase his cultivation base. Other than that, Wei Xian had also collected more than 40 Void Refinement Realm Dao fruits and 3 Void Fragmentation Realm Dao fruits from somewhere. With his current cultivation base at the second heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm, it was definitely not easy for him to obtain so many pills and Dao fruits. Ning Fan was very grateful to Wei Xian. He would always remember the kindness that Wei Xian had shown him, and he would definitely repay him in the future. After Wei Xian left, Ning Fan followed Lu Haoyue to the treasure-storing heavenly dwelling in the inner hall of the Vine King Palace. As soon as he entered the heavenly dwelling, Ning Fan's eyes scanned through the hundreds of generations of accumulations of the Vine Palace, and his eyes were filled with astonishment. With the evil fruit, the pills that Wei Xian gave him, and the 100 generations of accumulation of the Vine Hall, it would not be difficult for Ning Fan to break through to the origin returning Great Void stage. Moreover, most of the obstacles on his path to the Void Fragmentation Realm could be eliminated with the help of the countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures in the Vine Palace. Brother Ning, since you killed the Vine Sovereign, all the treasures in the Vine Hall should belong to you. Look at these things. Are you satisfied? Lu Haoyue asked with a smile. He, the divine emperor of the Lu Palace, had no shortage of elixirs and treasures for cultivation. However, to Ning Fan, the savings of the Vine Palace was definitely an unimaginably huge amount of wealth. That was a quarter of the wealth of the tree world. Chapter 607. Ning Fan's eyes carefully scanned through the heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures that were piled up like mountains in the heavenly dwelling. Some of the heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures here were carried out from the secret place of the Vine World of the Vine Palace. Some of them were plundered from the remaining forces of the Vine Palace. In front of Ning Fan, there were 400 mountains that were piled up with immortal jade. Each mountain was made up of 10 billion immortal jade. There was also a small mountain that was made up of Dao crystals. There were about 200,000 Dao crystals. This was the huge amount of wealth that the Vine Sovereign used to provide for the cultivators of the Vine Palace. Now, this wealth belonged to Ning Fan. All the cultivation methods and secret techniques of the Vine Palace filled up 1,000 jade shelves. All the spiritual herbs and spiritual roots of the Vine Palace filled up 100 medicine shops and spiritual fields. All the jade bottles of pills in the Vine Palace filled up 100 jade boxes. Among this batch of pills, there were even 3 high-grade 7th Revolution healing pills. The name of the pill was Lucien Pill. It was a kind of holy healing medicine in the heaven immortal world. The Vine Palace is really rich. With these pills, Little Black's injuries won't be a problem anymore. Ning Fan smiled gently. Spiritual puppets, magic treasures, spiritual equipment. The chi of treasures soared into the sky, causing the sky of the heavenly dwelling to be filled with the light of treasures and clouds. Ning Fan's eyes scanned through those magic treasures and spiritual equipment. Among them, there were many magic treasures and spiritual equipment that were quite powerful, which made him very excited. However, Ning Fan still shifted his gaze and focused all of his attention on a towering ancient vine tree. That ancient vine tree was very similar to the ancestral bamboo of the Bamboo Palace. Perhaps there used to be a tree spirit inside the tree which was at the first or second fragmentation realm. However, this tree spirit had already been killed. Lu Haoyue also looked at the ancient vine tree with fiery eyes and explained to Ning Fan. This is the guardian tree of the Vine Palace, the origin-suppressing ancestral vine. Originally, there was a second fragmentation tree spirit in the ancestral vine tree. He was a remnant who was loyal to the Vine Palace, but I have already killed him. The fruit of the ancestral bamboo of the Bamboo Palace can increase the power of a cultivator's intent realm. On the other hand, the fruit of the Vine Hall's ancestral vine could greatly enhance a cultivator's divine sense. If one could devour the entire ancestral vine, it would greatly benefit a cultivator's divine sense. If I can devour this ancestral tang, My spirit sense will improve by at least a small realm, reaching the 6th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. However, since the Vine Sovereign was killed by Brother Lu, this ancestral vine naturally belongs to Brother Lu. If Brother Lu devours this ancestral vine, even if your cultivation base hasn't reached the void fragmentation realm yet, your spirit sense will most likely reach the void fragmentation realm first. If your spirit sense reaches the void fragmentation realm first, it will be much easier for Brother Lu to advance to the void fragmentation realm in the future. Lu Haoyue came from afar to annihilate the Vine Hall. After he destroyed it, he sealed all the precious treasures of the Vine Hall and left all of them to Ning Fan. The reason why Lu Haoyue did that was because he was grateful to Ning Fan for lending him a helping hand. Secondly, he regarded Ning Fan as a friend. That was why he treated him sincerely. Ning Fan gave Lu Haoyue a deep look without saying anything. Deep down, he had already regarded Lu Haoyue as a friend. Along the way, he had rarely made friends with others. However, Lu Haoyue's temperament was very similar to his. They could be friends of the same kind. Although there are many things in the Vine Hall, not all of them are useful to me. I will only take the useful items from the things here. As for the rest, I will leave them all to Brother Lu as the expenses to expand the forces of the Lu Palace. As soon as Ning Fan finished speaking, he took away 1 trillion immortal jade and 200,000 Dao crystals. He also took away all the useful pill recipes and cultivation methods. He also took away all the pills that could increase one's cultivation base at the absolute void stage. He only took half of the spiritual herbs that were 50,000 years old and above. As for the magic treasures and spiritual equipment, he only took 5 to 6 useful items. As for the high-grade 7th Revolution healing pills, they were naturally taken away by Ning Fan. As for the remaining items, he left them all to Lu Haoyue. It's considered my fortune to be able to meet Brother Lu in my lifetime. Now, I still have some matters to attend to and I have no choice but to leave. If I have time in the future, I will certainly have a drink and discuss the Tao with Brother Lu again. Farewell. Ning Fan cupped his fists at Lu Haoyue. Then, he turned around and left the heavenly dwelling, directly leaving the Vine King City. Brother Lu Haoyue was greatly astonished. He did not expect that Ning Fan would leave so many things for him. However, after giving it a thought, he understood Ning Fan's intention. Of course, Lu Haoyue knew Ning Fan's real name and his identity as a cultivator of the Rain World. However, he never pointed it out. When Ning Fan left, he addressed himself as Ning Fan. It was because he wanted to be honest with Lu Haoyue with his real identity. Given Ning Fan's cold personality, the way he said that meant that he regarded Lu Haoyue as a friend. Moreover, the reason why he left so many resources of the Vine Hall to Lu Haoyue was also because he wanted to help Lu Haoyue. Today, the Vine Hall was destroyed and the Bamboo Hall had declined. Even though the Bamboo Sovereign was still around, he was also recuperating. He had suffered serious injuries during the battle and it would be difficult for him to recover without 100 years. Among the 3 sovereigns of the tree world, only the Lu Hall still had its resources. In the future, the tree world would need the Lu Hall to hold up the facade of the tree world. If the Lu Hall wants to increase its strength, it would need a large amount of money and pills. As for why Ning Fan left the Vine King City in a hurry, it was because he did not want to drag Lu Haoyue down by staying here. After killing the Vine Sovereign and Wan Changkong, Ning Fan had offended the 3 Realms sect. The disturbance caused by the deacons of the 4 oceans had already passed. However, no one knew how the 3 Realms sect would deal with him. The 3 Realms sect was a force of the upper 3 Realms realm. They could not openly attack the Bamboo Sovereign and Lu Sovereign, but they could find an excuse to deal with Ning Fan. Ning Fan had a premonition that the 3 Realms sect would not give up just like this. After leaving the Vine King City, he would find a place to enter seclusion and return to his primordial essence. Then, he would begin to subdue the rogue devil. If he can successfully subdue the rogue devil, he would not be afraid even if the sect master of the 3 Realms sect comes personally. I appreciate Brother Ning's good intention. However, I, Lu Haoyue, am not a person who is afraid of trouble. If the 3 Realms sect really wants to make things difficult for you, I certainly won't stand idly by. In a flash, Lu Haoyue walked out of the heavenly dwelling. He cupped his fists towards the direction where Ning Fan had left and said using telepathy. Ning Fan, who had already gone 1,000,000 li away from the Vine King city, heard Lu Haoyue's telepathy. His eyes flashed slightly, but he did not say anything and continued to fly further away. In the beginning, he went all the way to the west. Later on, he turned south. After traveling for a few days, he found a desolate and uninhabited mountain. He opened up a cave dwelling and went into seclusion there. Inside the cave dwelling, Ning Fan took out a new set of turtle shell for divination and calculated his fortune before he leaves the tree world. With his divination technique, he naturally could not predict the specific future. However, after a round of divination, his turtle shell shattered again. The crisis in the Eastern Tree Sea has ended, but my crisis has yet to end. The shattering of the turtle shell is still a great omen. Great omen. Could this calamity be the Three Realms sect? Ning Fan withdrew all of his thoughts. With a sway of his body, he went into the cauldron world. Both Teng Xianro and Purple-Eyed Evil Li were in the cauldron world. After nearly 2 months of recuperation, the injuries that Teng Xianro suffered from during the battle against the ancestral bamboo tree devil had already healed. As for the Purple-Eyed Evil Li, her injuries were definitely not light. The injuries that Wan Chongkong left on her gradually worsened under the Vine Sovereign's desperate counterattack. If it wasn't because she wanted to protect Ning Fan, she certainly would not have been injured by Wan Chongkong and the Vine Sovereign given her abilities. As soon as Ning Fan entered the cauldron world, he immediately flew hundreds of millions of li to the north and arrived above a massive lake. The water of this lake was usually crystal clear. At this moment, however, it was dyed black and purple by the filthy blood. Moreover, it emitted a foul stench. The thing that tainted the lake water was the Purple-Eyed Evil Li. She was recuperating at the bottom of the lake. However, her injuries were too severe. It would be difficult for her to fully recover without at least 100 years of recuperation. Are her injuries so severe? Ning Fan did not mind the foul stench. With a flash of his traveling light, he dived to the bottom of the lake and appeared beside the Purple-Eyed Evil Li. He gently stroked her feathers, which were softer than the hair of a woman. Shriek. Seeing Ning Fan's arrival, the Purple-Eyed Evil Li immediately cupped her head obediently. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with a smile. He patted the Purple-Eyed Evil Li's gigantic beak and took out a high-grade 7th Revolution Immortal pill and gently fed it to her. He had obtained a total of 3 pills. One was for the little sable and the other was for the Purple-Eyed Evil Li. As for the last one, Ning Fan could keep it for the time being. He had only met this Purple-Eyed Evil Li for a short period of time. However, he was deeply touched by her intention to protect him even at the cost of her own life. As for the other 3 Evil Li, they were wild and untamed. It was fine if they died. However, Ning Fan had already regarded this Purple-Eyed Evil Li as his spiritual pet. Thus, he would not let her suffer from severe injuries. Shriek. The Purple-Eyed Evil Li obediently swallowed the pill and looked at Ning Fan gratefully with her beautiful light purple eyes. From today onwards, you will be called Zili. You will stay by my side. If I don't die, I won't let you die. Ning Fan stroked the black feathers of the Purple-Eyed Evil Li. In a flash, he left the cauldron world and entered the dark golden pagoda in the Yuan Yao world. The Purple-Eyed Evil Li stared at Ning Fan's departing light. Her eyes were filled with reluctance and determination. He was the last member of the Fu Li clan. She would certainly do everything she could to protect him. She must. In the Yuan Yao world, Ning Fan climbed to the 7th floor of the pagoda step by step. He entered a palace room and walked into a paradise. Sitting cross-legged on the peak of a tall mountain, Ning Fan took out bottles of pills and Dao fruits and began to consume them. The first thing he consumed was the large number of 6th Revolution pills he obtained from the Vine Palace. Among the pills in the Vine Palace, there were more than 2,000 peak 6th Revolution pills which could increase the cultivation base of an absolute void stage cultivator. These pills could increase the magic power of an absolute void stage cultivator by nearly 20 million units. As the force of the Tree Sovereign, The Vine Palace naturally had an extraordinary foundation. These 2,000 pills were made up of dozens of different types of pills. They were the accumulation of the Vine Palace for hundreds of generations. Ning Fan had opened up the first divine aperture of an ancient god. The effect of the pills that could increase his magic power was 2 times that of an ordinary cultivator. 1 pill was equivalent to 2 pills. Time passed day by day. 50 years had passed in the blink of an eye on the 7th floor of the pagoda. Ning Fan had spent 50 years to refine all the accumulation of the Vine Palace. His magic power had increased from 1 million units to 59 million units. The reason why his magic power did not reach the same level was because he was resistant to the medicinal properties of the pills. Now that his cultivation base had reached this level, Ning Fan could actually begin to return to his original state. He was not in a hurry to return to his original state. Instead, he took out the pills and Dao fruits that Wei Xian gave him and consumed them one by one. Time flew. Another 30 years had passed in the pagoda. Ning Fan's magic power was already close to 85 million units. In the end, he took out 20 evil fruits and began to refine them. Time passed day by day. Ning Fan's magic power had already broken through the limit of 100 million units and it was still increasing. In terms of magic power alone, he had already surpassed an ordinary absolute void stage cultivator by a huge margin. He was not much weaker than an old monster at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. At this stage, he finally began to borrow the power of the Dao crystals to turn the 60 units of magic power into 1 unit of magic power. 1 Dao crystal would be consumed for every 1,000 units of magic power he had. If Ning Fan wants to return all of his magic power to his original state, he would need to spend at least 125,000 Dao crystals. Chapter 608. Everything was difficult at the beginning. The hardest step of returning to the origin was to return to the first thread of Yuan Hui's mana. With the first strand of Yuan Hui mana, one could give birth to 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to 10,000. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and a mountain of Dao crystals suddenly appeared on the summit of the mountain. He bent his palm and summoned a Dao crystal. Holding it in his hand, he carefully felt the vast flow of heaven and earth elemental energy within the Dao crystal. To cultivators before the origin returning realm, immortal jades and Dao crystals only had a few simple uses, as currency, setting up formations, forging tools, etc. For cultivators who had returned to the origin returning realm, after their magic power had returned to the origin returning realm, they could directly absorb the heaven and earth yuan qi within the immortal jade and Dao crystal to recover their magic power and even raise their cultivation. A Dao crystal was equivalent to 5 million immortal jades, and the elemental energy contained within it was enough to raise one's eyebrows. After attaining the void fragmentation realm, the main way to increase one's cultivation base was no longer to consume pills. Instead, it was to absorb the primordial force of the Dao crystals. Yuan Hui. Ning Fan closed his eyes and slowly absorbed the primordial power of heaven and earth within the Dao crystal. Following the absorption of the origin energy, the flickering luster on the Dao crystal gradually dimmed, and after the origin energy was completely exhausted, it dried up and shattered. Ning Fan absorbed the primordial power within the Dao crystal, allowing it to fuse with the magic power in his body. Gradually, the magical power in Ning Fan's immortal veins began to change. It was like the evaporation of the ocean, leaving only sea salt at the bottom of the ocean. It was as if the fog had turned into water and the water had turned into ice. It was as if sand had fallen into the earth, and the earth had piled up to form a mountain. It was like a seed germinating, growing into a towering ancient tree, blooming and bearing fruit. It was an indescribably mysterious feeling. A whole 1,000 units of spiritual power, like scattered silk threads, were slowly being twisted into an extremely thin rope. That rope was Yuan Hui's supernatural power. However, just as this strand of Yuan Hui mana was about to take shape, it suddenly loosened and turned back into a unit of mana. Failure. The first strand of Yuan Hui magical power is indeed the hardest to cultivate. Ning Fan did not show the slightest dispirited expression. He calmed himself down and fetched another Dao crystal, trying to return it to his primordial essence. He failed again and again and tried again and again. Ning Fan stayed in the 7th floor of the pagoda for another 10 years. Over the past 10 years, he had tried to return to his origin 20,000 times and used up 20,000 Dao gems before he finally cultivated the first strand of Yuan Hui mana. At the moment when the magic power of 1,000 units turned into Yuan Hui magic power, Ning Fan's aura underwent an obvious change. His appearance was still that of a young man, but his aura carried a trace of vicissitudes. He opened his palm, and a stream of white gas immediately came out of his palm, turning into a drop of rain. This drop of rain was the form of Yihui's magical power. Ning Fan used the origin returning technique of the rain ancestor to return to his primordial essence. Naturally, his magic power also followed the rain sovereign and turned into rain. As for this drop of rain, it contained all of his understanding and Dao comprehension towards rain in his entire life. Looking at the raindrops on his palm, Ning Fan was suddenly enlightened. He understood the true meaning of 60 years return to origin. Those who possessed 60 units of magic power were humans. Those who possessed Yuan Hui dermic powers were immortals. When cultivating magic power for 60 years, cultivators cultivate their magic power. During the cultivation of essence and magic power, the cultivator not only cultivated magic power, but also cultivated their own Dao. Mortals cultivate techniques while immortals cultivate the Dao. The Dao comes from techniques and techniques develop within the Dao. Ning Fan sighed and dispersed the rain in his palm. That was the first trace of Yuan Hui magic power that he had condensed after 10 years of hard work. Rain is the rain ancestor's Dao. However, it isn't my Dao. My Dao isn't rain. Even though I can use the rain ancestor's origin returning technique to return to my primordial essence, the magic power produced by this method is different from my Dao. Rain is not a good choice. My Dao is the butterfly. It's that undying obsession. The so-called origin returning technique is to use the power of the Dao crystal to merge the Dao into the technique. So that's how it is. Ning Fan bent his palm and beckoned another Dao crystal to him, absorbing and refining it. This time, he slightly modified the rain ancestor's origin returning technique. He retained the unique characteristic of the rain ancestor's technique of combining 3 types of power into one. However, he integrated his own Dao into the technique. In the blink of an eye, another 10 years had passed. After consuming 20,000 Dao crystals, Ning Fan successfully returned to his primordial essence and cultivated his first trace of Yuan Hui magic power. He opened his palm. This time, the form of magic power that was produced was a black butterfly. The black color was his devil sense of obsession. It's still a little lacking. Ning Fan dispersed the black butterfly once again. Once again, he started from 0 and returned to his primordial essence. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Another 10 years had passed. Ning Fan successfully cultivated Yuan Hui magic power for the 3rd time. He opened his palm. This time, the form of magic power that was produced was still the black butterfly. However, as long as Ning Fan willed it, it would turn into a white butterfly again. When he willed it again, the butterfly turned half black and half white. The black color was his devil sense of obsession. The white color was his gentleness that he could not bear to part with. Even though he had fallen into the devil Dao, he was not a pure devil. He was not a pure devil cultivator, a pure sword cultivator, or a pure pill refinement master. He was not a person who could be easily determined. He was just Ning Fan. If he loses the white color, the black color that he had turned into would be meaningless. If he loses the black color, he would lose the means to protect the white color. I am me. One yin and one yang. Neither good nor evil. This is my Dao. The first trace of Yuan Hui magic power has been formed. The rest is easy. Refine. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and summoned a few pieces of Dao crystals to him. He devoured them at the same time. Day after day passed. More and more units of magic power turned into Yuan Hui magic power. The qi around Ning Fan's body also became thicker and older. Nearly 125 million units of magic power eventually turned into 57,870 units of Yuanhui magic power. Even though the quantity had decreased, the quality of his magic power had improved tremendously. Just by returning his magic power to his primordial essence, Ning Fan's combat power was at least 50% stronger than before. There were still 170 to 80,000 Dao crystals in front of him. Now that he had successfully returned to his primordial essence, even though he had yet to attain the void fragmentation realm, he could still barely absorb the power of the Dao crystals to increase his magic power. Ordinary void fragmentation realm and void fragmentation realm cultivators could increase their magic power by 1 Yuanhui by devouring 10 Dao crystals. The magic power of an ordinary first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivator was between 50,000 to 100,000 Yuanhui. Ning Fan devoured all the Dao crystals and borrowed the abilities of his ancient divine aperture to increase his magic power by 2 times compared to ordinary people. In the blink of an eye, 40 years had passed. After Ning Fan had refined all the Dao crystals, his magic power had reached 75,500 Yuanhui. Now that his magic power had reached this level, it was a notch higher than ordinary first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm old monsters. Ning Fan inspected his own body and briefly sensed his current condition. At this moment, even though he had yet to attain the void fragmentation realm, his magic power was definitely unparalleled within the primordial essence returning realm. Even though he was still a cultivator at the primordial essence returning realm, he was slightly stronger than ordinary first heavenly layer realm old monsters. Ning Fan reckoned that if he were to face the 7th prince of the Rain Palace, Yun Jinghong, who was at the first heavenly layer realm, he would have a great chance of winning against him even if he did not use his trump cards or abilities. If he attains the void fragmentation realm, he would probably be unrivaled in the first heavenly layer as soon as he attains that level. I've already completed my primordial essence returning realm. Now, what I lack is just the void fragmentation realm. From the literal meaning of the words, void fragmentation realm is to allow a cultivator to break through the void. The word void doesn't refer to the void of external objects. In my opinion, it refers to the false and lost Dao in a cultivator's heart. Only by sweeping away these lost Dao can one attain the void fragmentation realm. Ning Fan had completely succeeded in his primordial essence returning realm. He closed his eyes, adjusting his breath and gathering his magic power while looking back at the path he had walked. His past in Wu country, his memories in Yu country, the massacre in the Endless Sea, all of these scenes gathered in his heart. When he looked back at the path he had walked would become his Dao. However, there were still some regrets that had yet to be resolved on this path. There were still some lost Dao. He started his journey from Wu country to Yu country. Step by step, the Dao he had walked on had turned into a circle. Vein opening, harmonious spirit, gold core, nascent soul, spirit severing, void refinement. Every step of cultivation was to complete this Dao circle. As for the void fragmentation realm, it was to break this Dao circle and surpass it. Even though the current Ning Fan had completed all the cultivation realms before the void fragmentation realm, he had yet to complete the Dao circle. There was still a crack on the Dao circle. Only by mending this crack could the circle be broken. In the past, Mu Weiliang in his previous life and Jihe in his current life were once lost in his heart. However, when he found Weiliang's 3 spiritual and 7 physical souls, that loss had turned into a firm belief to resurrect her. In the past, the lofty figure of Moksha Sovereign was once a loss in Ning Fan's heart. However, the current Ning Fan had walked step by step towards the peak of the first step of cultivation. He had the strength to fight equally with Moksha Sovereign. Thus, this loss was no longer a concern. The last loss in his heart was that he could not find his parents and fulfill his filial duty that he had not fulfilled. There is one thing that I am not as good as Tang Yuan. Tang Yuan is a human, while I have yet to become a complete human. My Dao has yet to be perfected. That's why I can't break through. Now, my magic power is more than enough to break through to the void fragmentation realm. However, the reason why I can't break through to the void fragmentation realm is because I have yet to resolve the last regret in my heart. After erasing this regret, the Tao circle can be completed and the void fragmentation realm is just around the corner. On the 7th floor of the pagoda, Ning Fan finally succeeded in his primordial essence returning realm after cultivating for 170 years and saw his own path to break through to the void fragmentation realm. He adjusted his breathing for a few months and stabilized his primordial returning realm. Then, he began to break through to the first-grade rain intent. Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out the fruit that the ancestral bamboo tree spirit had turned into. He swallowed it and began to refine it. This fruit was equivalent to 1,000 ancestral tree fruits. It was more than enough for Ning Fan's rain intent to break through to the first grade. The rain intent increased bit by bit. Ning Fan's body was surrounded by a faint sky-green rain intent. From the 3rd grade to the 2nd grade and then to the 1st grade, at the moment when the rain intent broke through to the 1st grade, Ning Fan's physical body suddenly disintegrated, turning into a drizzle that filled the sky. A 1st-grade rain intent could even turn one's body into rain. There was no one in the rain world or the 9 worlds who could cultivate the rain intent to the 1st grade. There might be some in the 4 heavens, but not many of them would go there. Moreover, those who have the 1st-grade rain intent were at least immortals. The drizzle condensed again and turned into a white-robed young man. It was Ning Fan. Ning Fan clenched his fists tightly. With his current magic power and rain intent, he could certainly spread his spirit sense across the entire middle state if he used the heaven-peaking rain. Then, he could find his mother and resolve the last regret in his heart. After devouring the tree spirit fruit, Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out the ancestral bamboo of the bamboo palace and the ancestral vine of the vine palace. Both of them were supreme treasures of the wood element. If Ning Fan devours them, the wood element constitution of his minor 5 elements physique would certainly improve tremendously. Silly little brother. This ancestral bamboo and ancestral vine are rare supreme treasures of the wood element. If you devour them, I'm afraid your minor wood element physique will reach perfection in one go. Luo Yu's teasing laughter resounded in his mind. I hope so. Ning Fan shook his body and displayed an incarnation technique. He turned into a green insect and attached himself to the ancestral bamboo. Then, he began to devour it bit by bit. The incarnation of the green insect was something he found from the countless secret techniques of the Vine Palace. After transforming into this incarnation, the efficiency of devouring wood element spiritual items would greatly increase. His wood element physique was improving step by step and gradually approaching perfection. 2%, 3%, 4%, Ning Fan's minor 5 elements physique was improving bit by bit. His body refinement realm was also improving step by step. His late reckless devil realm ancient devil cultivation base was advancing step by step towards the peak reckless devil realm. Chapter 609. 170 years in the pagoda was only equivalent to 17 months in the outside world. During these 17 months, Ning Fan's name had already spread across the 9 worlds, killing the Vine Sovereign and destroying the Vine Hall. Many Void Fragmentation Realm experts in the 9 worlds knew about Liu Bei's name. Those who were observant had already found out from various channels that the so-called Liu Bei was actually the same person as Marquis White Robe in the Rain World. In the Devil World, Moksha Sovereign, who had just come out from his seclusion, read the information in his hand. His eyes were extremely gloomy when he saw Ning Fan's portrait. He had already recognized that the young man in the portrait was the one who injured him with the strength of an ant more than 50 years ago. He was another disciple of old Devil Han. He recalled the young man's eyes, which were filled with unwillingness and determination when he was in Yu country. That young man had already made up his mind to take revenge on him for old Devil Han and was approaching him step by step. That young man could even kill the Vine Sovereign. It was enough to give him a sense of danger. There's no need to ask. Dao Yen, who I sent to the Rain World, must have died in his hands. I have underestimated him. Han Yuanji is in the Sword World. He has people from the godly Void Pavilion protecting him, and there is also a powerful sword cultivator with a mysterious background who is secretly protecting him. All the assassins I sent to kill Han Yuanji have died in the sword world. Han Yuanji is still struggling at death's door while this Ning Fan has actually reached his current state step by step when I was being careless. Ning Fan, I can't let this young man continue to grow. Didn't he kill the Vine Sovereign? I know that she is the disciple of the sect master of the three worlds. Moksha Sovereign sneered and gave an order to the Dark Palace. Where are the 4 devil elders? I'm here. For masses of black mist suddenly appeared in the palace and turned into 4 black-robed old men. All of them were void fragmentation realm experts. The 4 of you, take my token and go to the Three Worlds sect in the Heaven Immortal world. What? To the Heaven Immortal world. The Devil world and the Heaven Immortal world have always been on bad terms. As cultivators of the Devil world, I'm afraid it will cause a lot of trouble if we go there without permission. The 4 devil elders said hesitantly. It doesn't matter. For better or worse, I'm a member of the White Devil sect. As long as you don't cause trouble in the Heaven Immortal realm, those overcautious old fogies won't make things difficult for you. When you arrive at the Three Realms sect, hand this jade slip to the Three Realms sect leader. Tell him that I want to invite him to kill someone together. Furthermore, this emperor has a divination jade slip left behind by the White Demon sect. It can calculate this person's whereabouts. Moksha Sovereign smiled coldly. He was confident that he could kill Ning Fan. However, for the sake of caution, he still decided to ask the Three Worlds sect to help him. If he joins forces with the Three Worlds sect, Ning Fan will certainly die. It was best to nip the seeds of danger in the bud. Before Ning Fan left the Tree World, his greatest tribulation was brought upon by Moksha Sovereign and the Three Worlds sect. Inside the dark golden pagoda, the green insect that Ning Fan had turned into was devouring the ancestral bamboo bit by bit. He did not know that Moksha Sovereign had already set up a great calamity for him. Even if he knew everything, he would not be afraid. He would not avoid the tribulation. He would only fight back and kill Moksha Sovereign instead. After devouring the ancestral bamboo, Ning Fan's wood elemental physique was close to perfection. After devouring the ancestral vine, Ning Fan's wood elemental physique reached perfection and his spirit sense received a great improvement. The green insect shook its body and turned back into Ning Fan, who was clad in white robes. After devouring the 2 great wood elemental treasures, the wood elemental physique in his little 5 physique was completely perfected. If all the minor 5 elemental physique are perfected, it would advance to the great 5 elemental physique. Even though he had only perfected 1 line of the minor 5 elemental physique, his ancient devil cultivation base had directly broken through to the peak reckless devil realm, advancing by an entire minor realm. When his ancient devil cultivation base reached the peak reckless devil realm, the strength of his physical body was even comparable to a body cultivator at the first heavenly layer of the Nirvana realm. Moreover, after his wood elemental physique reached perfection, Ning Fan's physical body's defense against wood elemental magic techniques could be said to be heaven-defying. Ordinary wood cultivators at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm would not be able to harm Ning Fan at all with their wood elemental magic techniques. The minor 5 elemental physique was a special physique. The improvement of a special physique could often strengthen one's physical body. Every time the minor 5 elemental physique reached the perfection of a physique, the physical body would undergo a qualitative change. If Ning Fan could continue to perfect the other 4 elemental physiques, his physical body would become stronger step by step. Other than the great improvement of his physical body, Ning Fan's spirit sense had also improved tremendously. The origin-suppressing ancestral vine had the miraculous effect of improving a cultivator's spirit sense. Lu Huang had once said that if he devours the ancestral vine, his spirit sense could advance from the 5th heavenly layer to the 6th heavenly layer. After Ning Fan refined the entire ancestral vine, his spirit sense cultivation base advanced to the 1st heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm from the origin returning realm. Magic power, spirit sense, physical body. No matter which level one looked at it from, Ning Fan's strength had already surpassed the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. After devouring the two great wood elemental treasures, Ning Fan adjusted his breathing for a few months to stabilize the level of his physical body and spirit sense. After that, Ning Fan took out the few spiritual magic treasures that he took from the Vine Palace and studied them carefully. There were 2 magic treasures in total. One of them was called Lei Jinzi. It was a magic treasure that looked like a silver pearl. It could only be used once. Once it is used, it would explode and release destructive lightning which could directly kill an old monster at the second heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. The other magic treasure was called Wind Steadying Flag. It was a low-grade immortal void realm defensive magic treasure. The magic treasure itself was not powerful, but it had a heaven-defying restraint against wind attribute abilities. Its effect was similar to the Wind Steadying Pearl. It was a supreme treasure that could withstand the wind tribulation of the void fragmentation realm. To Ning Fan, these 2 magic treasures were considered to be rather useful. There were also 2 spiritual equipment. One of them was called Flowing Light Ring. It was a mid-grade divine profound realm treasure. It had the ability to conceal oneself. It could hide one's body from the detection of a 5th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivator at most. The other spiritual equipment was called Longevity Lock. It was a golden lock pendant. It was a high-grade divine profound realm treasure. Its effect was to protect one's life once. With this lock protecting one's body, even if a 7th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivator attacks him, he would be able to protect his life once without suffering any damage. This lock was originally a life-saving item given to the Vine Sovereign by the sect leader of the 3 worlds. Unfortunately, the grade of this spiritual equipment was too high for the Vine Sovereign to refine. Ning Fan possessed the ancestral blood of the Fu Li tribe. His blood contained a spirit. Even though he had yet to cultivate the spirit wheel, he was able to rely on the spirit in his bloodline to refine spiritual equipment that was at a higher level than his. The heaven-deceiving cloak was no longer enough to hide him in the void fragmentation realm. Ning Fan forced it out of his body and refined the flowing light ring to make it recognize him as its master. The longevity lock was a life-saving spiritual equipment. This kind of spiritual equipment was extremely precious. To Ning Fan, it could be said that he had an extra life. Thus, he naturally wanted to refine it and make it recognize him as its master. After refining the 2 spiritual equipment and making them recognize him as their master, Ning Fan adjusted his breathing for a few more months and began to do one last thing. He took out the ancient morning heavenly jade that he obtained from killing Wan Changkong and revealed a hesitant expression. This ancient morning heavenly jade once contained the inheritance of the Morning Death clan. However, this inheritance had already been inherited by Wan Changkong. It was unrealistic to rely on this jade to cultivate the Morning Death devil veins. The ancient jade contained a puppet thread of the morning ancestor. With this puppet thread, Ning Fan was 90% confident that he could refine the rogue devil into a living puppet and completely subdue it. Even though he was confident, he still had to consider the possibility of failing to subdue it. The best place to subdue a rogue devil was still the profound world. Even if he fails to subdue it, he would at most waste the puppet thread of the ancient morning heavenly jade. It would not allow the rogue devil to escape from the devil's sealing pouch. With a sway of his body, Ning Fan left the Yuanyao world and entered the profound world. With a flick of his sleeve, he took out the storage pouch that sealed the rogue devil and took a deep breath. Luo Yu slowly walked out of the thatched cottage. As soon as she saw Ning Fan's action, she knew that he was going to subdue the rogue devil in the profound world. She did not say much. Instead, she walked to Ning Fan's side and gave him an enchanting smile. "Do you need me to help you unseal the ancient jade?" "All right." Ning Fan nodded and handed the ancient morning heavenly jade to Luo Yu. Unsealing the ancient jade would consume a large amount of magic power. With Luo Yu doing it for him, he did not need to recover his magic power after unsealing the ancient jade. Luo Yu took the ancient morning heavenly jade. At first, she still had a charming expression on her face. However, as soon as her soft palm touched the ancient jade, She was immediately startled. It was clearly her first time seeing this incomplete piece of ancient jade. However, this special touch evoked another memory in her. She was born in the Luo clan and was the daughter of the clan leader. She had once seen a similar incomplete piece of ancient jade among her father's many treasures. That piece of ancient jade had always been treasured by her father. It was said that there was a huge secret hidden in that incomplete piece of jade. It was said that there were still a few more pieces of that kind of jade. Perhaps the incomplete piece of jade that Ning Fan obtained by chance was the same type of secret treasure as the one that her father had kept in his collection in the past. It is said that there is a huge secret hidden in this ancient jade. I once saw my father keeping a similar piece of ancient jade. With my father's identity, anything that he regards as a treasure is definitely not a trivial matter. Luo Yu's beautiful eyes revealed a hint of seriousness. Your father? Ning Fan was surprised. Then he asked, what kind of huge secret is hidden in this jade? Is it related to the Morning Death clan? Oh no. After I unseal the morning ancestral puppet strings in the ancient morning heavenly jade, you must not throw this jade away. Keep it by your side and don't show it to others easily. Even though I don't know what kind of secret is hidden in this jade, it is most likely a supreme treasure. Luo Yu gave him a few reminders. Then, she sat cross-legged in the sky and began to unseal the ancient jade. Ning Fan did not disturb her. He quietly watched as the ancient jade was unsealed step by step. He watched as the ancient jade gradually emitted an extremely dangerous qi. He watched as Luo Yu drew out a silver thread from the ancient jade with a slightly pale face and tossed it into the sky. Immediately, it turned into a silver river. Use this thread to quickly subdue the rogue devil. I need to recuperate and heal my injuries immediately. Luo Yu did not say anything else. She immediately turned into a ray of traveling light and returned to the thatched cottage to recuperate in seclusion. Currently, she had recovered her second heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivation base. However, just unsealing the morning ancestral puppet strings had already caused her to suffer serious injuries. It was enough to show how powerful the morning ancestral puppet strings was. Ning Fan held the devil sealing pouch in his hand and leaped into the silver river in the sky. Then he reached out his hand to grab it. The Milky Way immediately turned into a bright silver thread and landed in his palm. The thread that seemed as light as cotton was actually extremely heavy. It directly pressed Ning Fan down from the sky. Currently, Ning Fan's physical body was comparable to an old monster at the first heavenly layer of the Nirvana realm. His strength was so great that he could crush mountains and rivers within a million li with a stomp. However, even with his extraordinary strength, he couldn't move a mere puppet string at all. Not only him, even a rogue immortal would not be able to lift this puppet string. This was also the reason why Luo Yu summoned the puppet string into the sky and turned it into a silver river the moment she unsealed it. The string was too heavy. Even she could not lift it. This string is unwilling to submit to me. Thus, I won't move it. Holding the puppet string in his hand, Ning Fan fell from the sky. He gradually focused his mind and a black moon mark slowly appeared in his left eye. At this moment, he displayed the life imprisoning technique. At this moment, his body exuded a dignified aura that had experienced the vicissitudes of life, making him look like the ancestor of morning death. At this moment, the puppet string, which was as heavy as a mountain, immediately became light. It escaped from Ning Fan's palm and circled around him happily. It had submitted to Ning Fan's black moon divine ability. Ning Fan steadied his body in the sky and gradually calmed his breathing. He held the morning ancestor puppet string in his hand. The moment he held the string, he had a feeling. At this moment, he could severely injure any rogue immortal just by using the puppet string in his hand. The rogue devil in his storage pouch had its first heavenly layer cultivation base extracted by Ning Fan, leaving it with an 8th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivation base. The success rate of subduing the rogue devil was very high. After waiting for so many years, I will officially subdue you today. Open. At this moment, Ning Fan opened the devil sealing pouch. At the moment the pouch was opened, An extremely arrogant and hideous laughter came from inside. Junior, previously, you extracted my cultivation base. This time, I will tear you into pieces. Rumbled. A black shadow suddenly rushed out of the devil's ceiling pouch, trying to enter the profound world to kill Ning Fan. However, an invisible force of the world stopped him from doing so. It was like an incomparably hard wall, causing him to let out a miserable cry and heavily collide with the force of the world. He was unable to escape. Despicable. Too despicable. You actually opened the devil's ceiling pouch in this dimensional world again. I can't accept this if I can't get out. If you have the guts, come inside the devil's ceiling pouch. I want to fight you for 500 rounds. If you have the guts, come inside and fight me. The rogue devil roared furiously. As you wish. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with a cold light. Holding the puppet string of the morning ancestor in his hand, his body turned into a ray of light and shot into the devil's ceiling pouch. If he wants to subdue the rogue devil as his puppet, he must fight him face to face and suppress him with the puppet string of the morning ancestor. Ning Fan withdrew the ray of light and appeared in a space filled with devil mist. It was the internal space of the devil's ceiling pouch. Behind this boundless space, a giant of black mist with 2 horns on his head stood proudly in the sky. He was none other than the rogue devil. Seeing that Ning Fan was not provoked and really entered the devil's ceiling pouch, the rogue devil was overjoyed. He did not expect that Ning Fan would really do something stupid and enter the devil's ceiling pouch to court death. When they met in the past, Ning Fan was just at the divine transformation realm. Now that they met again, Ning Fan was already at the returning origin Taishu realm. This slightly surprised the rogue devil, but he did not take it seriously. To him, even if Ning Fan's cultivation base was at the 5th or 6th destruction realm, it would not be difficult for him to kill him. The only thing that he was afraid of was that Ning Fan's ancestral blood was a little powerful. Previously, it actually drew away his first heavenly layer cultivation base despicably through the devil's ceiling pouch. However, if it's a face-to-face battle, he was not afraid of Ning Fan's ancestral blood at all. I really didn't expect it. I really didn't expect that you would really come in here to court death. The rogue devil let out a loud laugh. He raised his hand and sent out countless traces of devil chi which turned into rays of devil light, sealing all the exits of the devil's ceiling pouch. He was not prepared to give Ning Fan any chance to escape. How about we make a deal? If you are willing to let me plant a restrictive spell on you, become my slave and let me out of this damned devil's ceiling pouch, I can spare your life. Ning Fan did not say much. You aren't willing? You are actually unwilling. Do you know that I can pinch you to death with just a flick of my finger? I will count to 3. If you don't let me out of here, I will peel off your skin, scrape your bones and swallow you alive. 1, 2. The rogue devil's expression was extremely arrogant. From his point of view, Ning Fan was already a lamb from the moment he entered the devil's ceiling pouch. He could do whatever he wanted to him. Before he could finish counting to 3, he suddenly saw Ning Fan raise his right hand. He was holding a thin and weak silver thread and gently waved it at him. That silver thread that was as light as a feather did not seem to have any destructive power. However, the moment Ning Fan waved the silver thread, it immediately landed heavily on the rogue devil's chest. All of a sudden, the rogue devil had an illusion. What hit him was not a thin thread but a galaxy that filled the entire sky and 100,000 stars. In just a single strike, the rogue devil was caught off guard. He was directly hit to the point where he coughed out blood and fell from the sky. His eyes were filled with fear. He could feel a sense of danger from that silver thread. What kind of damn thread is this? What kind of damn thread is this? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.